Yes, good morning. Sorry, I was eating a biscuit and didn't realise just how long it would take to eat the biscuit. I thought I've got ages during the intro. Welcome to James. Welcome to me. Hashtag Andy's Man Club. For any sporting goods, go down to OK Jersey. Type in Savva 2 V's. I keep being told by the guys at OK Jersey that they can see people attempting to try and get a discount with SAVA. You need 2 V's. My name has 2 V's in it. For 8% off at checkout. James is here this morning. We might have some other people joining us at some point. If anyone wants to come on, please just message me if you've got my number. And James, we've got a few things to talk about. We've got a trip to Old Trafford coming up. We have got takeover talks or 30% stake talks. Daniel Levy apparently selling to the 2 chaps who failed in bids to buy the whole club outright in the summer. So we'll talk about that. We've got Carl Walker, which you kindly sent me the video. Carl Walker telling his teammates that the Spurs fans will turn on the players if we get stuck into them, and how very right he is. James, first of all, I would say happy Thursday, but I don't know about you. It is disgusting here.
It's miserable, to be honest. It is proper miserable. It was one of those that I was like, I'll be glad to go home and do some paperwork. Get me indoors with eating on.
It's absolutely bigging, like truly chucking it down. Anyway, I hope everyone in the chat is good. Just for once, guys and girls, why don't we all smash the like button? We've become very lazy at that on this channel, smashing the like button. I don't really ask too much, but come on, let's start as you mean to go on. James, I just said to you off stream, didn't I, that this club is never not in the news. And if we look at the last 12 months, in the last 12 months, Tottenham Hotspur have had their worst ever Premier League finish. We've had our best trophy for 40 odd years. We've sacked a manager. We've brought in a manager. We've sacked a whole medical team, brought in a whole new medical team. Daniel Levy has left. The whole board has been changed. We've got a new CEO, a new non-exec chairman. The new director of football has come in and gone within the space of 3 months. The assistant manager has left to go and manage in America. The captain is firing shots left, right, and centre on Instagram, on X and Reddit, whatever he's doing. Are we ever going to have some calm, James? Just like a calm where all we talk about is football?
No. Quite frankly, no. No. Well, if we do, I'm still waiting, to be honest. It's just miserable, isn't it? No matter what happens, there's always something for someone to complain about. It's just miserable. It's a miserable club.
Yeah, it's just never like, what I wouldn't give for a dull day. Like right now, let's use my favourite club, shall we? Let's use Aston Villa as an example. Right now, what do we truly think their fans are really talking about? Other than results, are they complaining about transfers? Are they complaining about manager, director of football? Are they, I don't hear noise from clubs like that about anything. And yet here we are every day. We seem to talk more about men in suits than we actually do players on the pitch.
Yeah, I think that's because some people find the men in suits more interesting because the players on the pitch are even worse. Like it's got to a point where, I mean, even like you're saying, like with the transfer market, that for me was the worst transfer market ever. Us considering the position we're in. Your show yesterday where you kind of went through the chat with him and stuff. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse. And the one thing for me that is just mind blowing is he's talking for us like he actually knows what we want and what we think. He's like, the fans are very, they know how hard it is. No, we don't. No, we don't, because there are players available. You was apparently offered players that you turned down. Frank saying we want players that can help short term and long term. Lange come out and said, well, we don't want no one long term. It's like, well, what do you want? Everyone's kind of on a different boat here. I don't understand how they want us to act or feel, because no one understands the football club in general.
Yeah, I think, before we get into the whole board and Levy and all that kind of stuff, I think it was interesting, you know, Romano's come out and said that John Duran was offered on loan. Now, if we were sitting here having a conversation, James, about would I want to spend 50, 60 million on John Duran? Okay, we've now got a conversation. But when you're talking about would you want John Duran as part of your squad, a goal scorer between now and the end of the season, I genuinely can't understand what part of us says, no, we don't want to add more goals to the forward line for 4 months. I can't, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here, James, going, oh my God, Duran is a mate. But Premier League experience, scores goals. Just seems a bit weird to me that we seem to be rejecting him, rejecting Lookman. I don't quite know what we want.
Well, like you said, there's no good players available. Yeah, I'm the same as you. To be honest, look, I wanted Brennan Johnson out. I thought it was time for Son to go. But there's within reasons, right? You want these guys out because you want replacements to come in. You want to try something new. Whether he works out to be better or not, I can't see how it doesn't. But whether it does or not, I'd still like to play that kind of like have that card in my back pocket rather than not. You know, and the next thing that I read was they want to stick with Kolo Muani. Well, that's all well and good, but so far he's scored 0 Premier League goals. Like what are we sticking with?
Yeah,
he leaves in 3 or 4 months. Like I don't get it.
Do you know what? I think this is the point for me. And again, I've really got to stress this. This isn't me thinking, oh my God, John Duran's the answer. But I look at the situation like that and say, all right, we know Solanke will grab goals. Yeah. And let's hope that he keeps this form up. I know all of a sudden now he scored 4 in 4 and our fans are starting to talk about him being Harry Kane. And, you know, I'll keep my powder dry on that one and I hope he continues. But Muani, like you said, is not contributing goals. And we can all talk about, oh, he worked hard today, his touch. At the end of the day, you've got to contribute some goals. Now, if John Duran is
something,
sure.
Doesn't even have to be goals. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you get, I've been not comparing the two, but Bobby Firmino didn't really get many goals or assists considering the amount Liverpool scored, but vital to the way they played, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I just can't understand if someone had said, look, all you got to do is cover Duran's wages for the next four months. Wouldn't you want that in your back pocket? Like, all right, Solanke doesn't have to start every game, come back from injury, so Duran can start. Or you know what? 20 minutes to go. We need a goal. We're not bringing on, you're not bringing on midfielders. You're not bringing on, defenders. You're going, oh, Duran, warm up, get up front, son, get in the box, grab a goal. But we always seem to do this. I remember we rejected Yuri Tielemans when Poch was manager. We lost Dembele. He had gone to China. I think he went to China, didn't he? And we're offered Yuri Tielemans on loan. We said no. Leicester said yes. The rest is history, right? He's gone on and won FA Cups and whatever he's done with Leicester and Villa.
And in fairness, that's a massive signing that we missed out on. I'm not saying the game changes, but Tielemans in midfield for the Champions League final to not having him in the final squad. Like, I'm not saying it changes anything, but it definitely gives you another 10, 15, 20% chance of winning that game.
Of course.
And it could be the same with Duran.
Yeah. It's only because Romano said that we were offered that opportunity. Look, we know he's on his way, I think, today I'm pretty sure I saw that he's on his way to Zenit St. Petersburg. If I'm not wrong, I'm pretty sure he's on his way to Russia. But again, you're right. I don't think they know what they want. They keep saying they do, but none of the transfer windows, when you add them up, I don't care, right? You could get the best code breakers in the world, James. They wouldn't be able to tell you that there's a pattern there of what we're actually doing. And do you think that message is seeping into us, the fans, that because they don't seem to know what they're doing, we're all going, okay, right, 19-year-old from Brazil. What, did we not have apparently there's a really good 18, 19-year-old left back in the youth team called King. Like, are we saying that this guy can't get any minutes, but we need to go to Brazil and buy that kid, and then the next one is Conor Gallagher? And do you know what I mean? It all seems a bit of a meh.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea either. I think that's the thing. At one point, I'm like, right, Frank's definitely leaving. Poch is coming in at the end of the season. Gallagher makes sense. Young fullback. does no harm. And I'm in my head, I'm thinking, right, it looks like that's going to go down that way. And then we bring in the head of medical team from Brentford, and I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know what is going on. And if we don't know, and they don't know, it just goes to show that the players don't know. Because for me, whatever you want to say about Romero, look, I've criticised him a lot. Arguably, our two biggest profile players are probably Romero and Van der Ven, arguably. Maddison, but he's already injured. They're both talking about leaving. I don't think we've ever been in the position where they're both quite, or they're not, but it's quite public in the media that they're both happy to leave. We always had like murmurings about Harry Kane. He was always like, oh, I love Tottenham. And you always got that vibe. Even though we knew he was going to go at some point, we always kind of got that vibe. Which we're now talking of like your best two players wanting to leave. Like, I don't know where you go from here. I really don't know where you go from here. I don't think we've ever been in that position where we're looking to sell everybody. And if they go, we've got Dragushin who wants to leave. Danso, we haven't heard nothing, and he's been pretty solid, to be fair. We've got a young kid that's tore up Bundesliga by the sounds of it. I've only seen clips. He doesn't want to come back next season. He wants to stay on loan for another year.
Yeah.
So,
we'll talk about that in a minute, actually. Yeah, we'll talk
it just looks like the whole club is so brittle. So brittle. I mean, Colin Wine doesn't look like he wants to be here. I'm concerned for the summer. People are saying about, oh yeah, that we're going to go again in the summer. Well, you're losing Polina and Colin Wine anyway, as things stand. So you already got to replace those two before you start building. Yeah, you may get Kulu and Matters back. You don't know how they're going to come back. You could be losing Van der Ven and Romero. Bakaru wants to leave.
I don't mind losing Romero.
Neither do I.
I don't mind. I don't want to lose Mickey. I think what Mickey brings is a very different skill set to many centre backs in the world. What Romero brings for me, I think can be replaced. I don't think he's consistent enough. Again, James, it's not that he's not a good player.
No.
I don't think he's consistent enough. And I think the problem for me with Romero, he's been part of this noise now for the best part of 5 years. Do you know what I mean? He's been part of this mess, this noise. Is it now deeply ingrained in him, this kind of Spursiness? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it?
So I think it's hard because look, the one thing that I'm pretty sure we'll agree on is he's a winner, and I don't think you can replace winners like that. So I think like the mentality of it's a winner. He is prepared to make those last-ditch challenges, whether they should or shouldn't. He's prepared to leave his body on the line. Whether he's had a good game or a bad game, he'll always leave his body on the line. And I think that speaks quite volumes, because I think Maddison came out at the start of the season and said, Romero works, he wants to win, you don't want to be on his opposite team in training and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is for me is, no, I just don't see what the fascination is being here. And if Romero has been told, because he wanted to leave last season. Let's not get that twisted. That all come out, he wanted to leave. There must have been a conversation, and whether you believe it's right or wrong, or it's that whole gentleman's agreement, he must have been told something to sign. So I don't blame Romero for speaking out, because if I was at a company and I was offered a job and they said, right, yeah, you're going to get all the new tools you need to do your job. Don't worry about it. We're going to give you that. Just sign this. You sign it, you go, oh, okay, it's not a bad place to be. The fans are good. The stadium's good. Everything's good. You can have the tools that you want. You're like, okay, let's give it a go. And then he turns up and there's no tools. You're like, well, can you crack on with this and win the league? Well, no, that wasn't the agreement. And you don't know if he's saying stuff behind the scenes before he comes publicly, because he does seem fairly vocal. So you don't know if he is, and from that side of things, I think we'll miss him in that respect.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. Look, Romero for me has always been a really interesting subject, because I think he's as good as many make out. No, I don't. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good centre back. Right, on his day, the guy is capable of putting in top performances. But when you are this patchy over a number of years, it tells you something about their character. Now, I don't doubt he's frustrated. But again, James, he signed the contract. He signed the new contract. Now, again, there's two ways of looking at this. Was he made, again, by the way, we're all making assumptions, right? We all say he was made promises. We don't know what happened. But let's go with the assumption. So the assumption is he was made promises and they haven't come to fruition. Well, first and foremost, I'd be really interested to see in what time frame were the promises made to him. Did they turn around to him at the time of signing his contract in one window and say, right, in one window, we're going to assign 4 or 5 top players, knowing that they probably wouldn't be able to pull that off? Did they say, give it a year and you'll see what we're trying to do? But the other side of this is, if I'm Romero, I think I'm saying, okay, cool. Let's look at this again next year. I think if I'm Romero, I'm saying, let's look at this again next year. Let's agree a deal in principle. Let's look at this next year. If the club is matching, don't know.
I don't know how long he had.
Left free, I don't know. But
yeah,
do you see what I mean? He signed the contract, and it's a difficult one for me, James, because I don't. What he's saying or what he's alluding to, which can obviously be misconstrued because of the language barrier, what he's alluding to, I don't think is incorrect. But the way he's going about it, you ask yourself, should that be the captain's job to do that? Should the captain be the one rocking the boat publicly? Should he be having the chat behind the scenes? Is he having the chat behind the scenes? And as fans, James, we don't know. We all think we know the answer. We don't know the answer to these questions. We're surmising, right? We don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's again, it's one of those things people kind of get in their mind what it is. I mean, I personally, from the kind of person he seems, I don't know him, obviously, it does seem like he'll speak his mind. So I can't see him saying absolutely nothing and then going straight to Instagram and posting something like that with everybody kind of liking it. You know, everyone's liking and agreeing with it, or that's the vibe you would get. So from that point of view, I can't see him saying nothing and then going straight to Instagram and splurting loads of stuff, because they'd be like, hold on, you've never spoken to us about this. Like, it doesn't make sense. And also, I feel the first, or not the first, but not this one he's posted, the one before, he got told to edit out, or we think he got told to edit out the lying process, don't we?
Yeah.
Whereas this time, nothing's changed. So you kind of wonder, okay, like, what's gone on there then?
Yeah, look, I completely agree. Look, I'm very different to a lot of people. I truly believe that any business, whether it's football or not, they've got to deal with these things internally, right? I don't know who it's actually helping. What he said doesn't mean what he said is wrong. I just don't know who it's actually helping right now. But this is a good point from Philly, who said if Romero's professional, we would hand in a transfer request. And there's a lot to be said for that, right? Like, if you really are truly aggrieved, hand in a transfer request. But here comes the flip side of handing in a transfer request, right? All of the bonuses, all of the add-ons that are added into the small print of your CV, of your contract, they don't get paid if you hand in a transfer request. And this is why when people say, oh, if he like with Savio, do you remember in the summer, people were going, if he really wants to leave, hand in a transfer request. You're like, hang on, let's say he's got bonuses due to him of, I'm just making this up, £10 million, right? What human being turns around and goes, yeah, don't worry about that 10 million. Like,
I don't want that.
Right. So it's not always as simple as we think, because it costs them money to move, right? But look, it just feels to me, when I look at Romero's behavior the last few years, he walks down the tunnel a lot without saying anything to the fans, vocal on Instagram publicly about the club, right? Calling out the owners. For me, it's just a bit, I don't look at that and go, leader. I look at that and go, okay, you're a rebel rouser. Okay, you're one of those that cajoles in, come join with me. Here's what but do I look at that as the guy that goes, right, everybody, cut the noise out, focus. Focus on the game. Because he's
playing devil's advocate, though. Could they have all kind of met up, had this conversation, and they're all saying this is a joke, we've got 11 fit players, and they're all kind of feeding into him, and him as the captain is kind of speaking out? Like, we don't know. I think that is the thing. We generally don't know. So I think it's so hard to say yay or nay. I mean, I agree with what he says, and I think personally, if you've gone up to your boss and said, this isn't good enough, we need help, we need the right tools to do this job, and then in the meantime being slated by the public or coming under criticism, or these teams are crap, these players are crap, blah 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 blah, eventually you're going to say, well, hold on, this isn't our fault. Like we have 11 fit players. We're now bringing Byfield on, who, by the way, is a centre back, and he's playing right wing. Like, I get it. I get it from everyone. I get it from both sides.
Agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Let me flip it. Right. Let's just assume that I agreed with what he's done. Right? I don't agree with it, because as much as I think as fans we like it, it makes the club look silly, and you've got to deal with these things. That's my opinion. You've got to deal with these things behind the scenes. However, let's assume that I agreed. What's the point in doing it 20 minutes after the transfer window shuts? That if he truly felt like this, if he truly, oh, this is amazing. Oh, it is warm in here, isn't it? Thank you. Oh, his lordship.
For the hobnobs.
Oh, for the chocolate hobnobs. If he truly believed this, right? I'm not saying he doesn't, but if he truly believed this, why not make this statement when there's 10 days to go in the transfer window? And that can then really rally. That can really rally the likes of TalkSport and Sky Sports to go, well, will Spurs act on Romero's doing it on the day the transfer window shuts? I sit there and I go, all right, what you've done now is you've brought the club into the spotlight. Nothing can change now. Now you've got loads of angry fans, loads of angry players. The board are unhappy. The media are talking about it. But you know what? The solution to what you're asking for can't be dealt with. It can't be dealt with. So the timing for me just seemed really odd.
Yeah. Well, I think there's, again, almost, mate, this the whole show just devil's advocate. Devil's advocate.
That's all our opinions are, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, I think that the reason potentially why he's done it then is because if he come out and did that, for example, and then the following day they brought in a player, they could have kind of belittled him and said, look, you don't know what's going on. Like, we're working. So how about you wait and see? Whereas he's given them time to wait and see. Nothing's happened, and he's gone, this is so unfair. And then kind of, bleh, do you know what I mean? So, and I think that is the problem. Again, mate, I stand for the protest. I think fair play, any publicity is good publicity, whether it's bad, good, or the other. For me, so many times they've kind of planned protests and a good results happen. City killed that protest. Do you know what I mean? Walk out 75 minutes where you're 2-2 against City, killed that protest.
Yep.
There's been somewhere last day of the transfer window, Kulu and Bentancur come in, killed that protest. So I think it's so hard to kind of wait to the end, because if you acted sooner, you could get sooner. But also, if you don't act to the end, you kind of give them the opportunity to jump in and go, you don't know what you're talking about. We're still working hard.
No, listen, I completely agree with you. And this is why I find it interesting, because let's be fair. As much as we all think we know what's going on, we are just normal human beings on YouTube talking about the club we love. You know what I mean? It's not like any of us can go, this 100% happened. Equally, you've got people coming out as well from within football saying that it's not actually what he meant. And again, we don't know to what extent did he mean that. All I know is that we can't do anything about it now. And we're going to have to go into the summer. Again, it's going to be all between now and the summer, James. We're going to be having this conversation, not me and you, everyone. Does Romero want to be here? Atleti want him again. Real Madrid want him again. It's going to be, would you stay? Can we afford to let him go? We've got to keep you better. Yada, yada. At the end of the day, it's just more and more that we're in the news and we're just a bit of a joke, aren't we? We're just a little bit of a joke, mate.
Yeah. And in fairness, I know a lot of people kind of tend to pin that on Romero. We're only in this position because of the board. If they did come out and put a couple of players on the wind in from the window into the squad, your Akulushis, your Adiemis, your Lookmans, all of these guys have been spoke about. Your Durans, they've all been spoken about. So it's not like they're not gettable. So I mean, I don't buy this whole no one wants to come to us or get the right player either, to be honest, because we are in like the last, is it 16 of the Champions League?
Yeah.
Like that is going to be a selling point in itself. We're already through. Look at our next fixtures, winnable, then quarterfinals, potentially winnable. Like it is a matter for me of actually backing the team. And like you said earlier, I don't think the people at the top not know what they're doing. I don't think therefore it helps Frank. I don't think Frank knows what he's doing, whether he's coming or going. Therefore the players are under there, and then the fans are underneath that. I don't think there's any structure going up or down. And that's just purely because of lies. When you kind of, they'd always say, wouldn't they? A liar will always get tripped up. So coming out mid-transfer window, saying lies, say you're going to back the club, there's loads of money available, we'll do what's best, and then you get no one. At what point do you say, well, that sends messages to the board, that's different to the coaching staff, that's different to the players, that's different to the fans? Like, it's a big knock-on effect. So
Yeah.
I just think that they haven't got a clue. I think that they're not sure whether they're going to keep Frank. I think Conor Gallagher, for me, if Frank goes, Pochettino is going to come in. I think that's kind of a given. And I think Conor Gallagher was Poch's captain, easy no-brainer, ready for the next guy if it happens.
Yeah, look, I think on that we could all agree, right? When it comes to the wider piece of why Romero's done it, I think we can all agree. And obviously yesterday, Johann Lange, the video. Do you know what? I got copyrighted last night on YouTube for showing the Lang video, and it wasn't even by Tottenham for showing Tottenham content. It was by UEFA, because during this is true. During the clip that Spurs put out, there's a 12-second clip of the Spurs players lining up in a Champions League game with a Champions League music on in the background. So UEFA have made me clip out that 12 seconds from my show. How ridiculous. Like I was monetizing from UEFA. Anyway, look, before we get into the Levy and the stake stuff, that I haven't spoken to you since yesterday about the video. Johann Lange has come out, and it's fair to say that Johann Lange doesn't really seem to have the backing of a lot of the Spurs fans. Do you understand why? And what did you make of his monotone video that came out yesterday? I think that's the only word I can use to describe his. Yeah. What do you make of it?
Yeah. So for me, it's just, again, it looks like somebody has no idea what they're talking about, to be honest. It really does. And that's the only way to put it. He's come out and kind of speaking for us. Like we said earlier, he's talking about long-term or short-term goals, not long-term. Frank's talking about long-term and short-term. It just looks like no one's got a clue. You know, there's a few things that people have said, like, oh, you said you wanted Lange. No, I said that Lange has brought in better quality players than Paratici. That's all I've ever said the whole way through. And in my opinion, he has. But, I mean, it just goes to show that when it comes to first team getting a deal over the line, maybe he's not good enough, because we're hearing again today that they're looking at bringing a second guy back in to manage those anyway. So I don't know. The whole video just screams, I don't care what you say, I'm doing it my way, and that's it. And that's kind of what it screamed. It's like, well, don't be expecting me. Sorry?
Did the video feel staged to you?
Absolutely. I mean, even look, I'd rather them release videos than not. So I don't want to sound like a hypocrite here. But at the same time, I mean, that might as well have been nothing, because even the way they word it, wasn't one of the questions like, the fans know how hard it is to bring players in January. Wasn't it something like that? It was something like he's already answered the question within the question. It's like, oh yeah, the fans know how hard it is, or the fans know how hard you work, or it was something along those lines.
I hated that. He's telling Lang how we all feel when we feel the opposite. Oh, the fans understand it's difficult. Whoa, hang on, mate.
Don't talk to me.
Mate. Yeah, don't talk for me. No, I get it. He's an that Ben, is it Haynes? Listen, he's an employee of the club. You get it, right? What I wanted yesterday, James, we knew this wasn't going to happen. I want to know, where are the tough questions? Where are the tough questions? Where are the... So, Lang, one of the things the fans would want to know is, you know, you sold Brennan Johnson on the 2nd of January. Can we please know why was a player sold when you clearly haven't got anybody lined up? And at least then I'd like to hear, oh, well, we did have, but it fell through. Something.
Yeah.
But that
No,
was
that's a
hard,
good point. Yeah, that's a
right?
good point. And the same with you know, he said there was a plan, but then you got 7 injuries in January, and that changes the plan. Well, so if we didn't get 7 injuries, what was the plan then? Was it that we still buy no one, or was it, well, if we didn't get those injuries, we would have bought a left winger? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So I don't like. I said to you, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. I mean, I'm not a season ticket holder, and I don't go every week. I go 3 times a season with my son. I personally don't buy anything from the Spurs shop, but every time we go, we get him a kit. It's almost like, you know, when I was younger, I went there, I got a shirt, I went to a game. It's kind of like trying to keep those traditions with my son and kind of think this is Tottenham. Like, we go Spurs, you get yourself a kit and blah, 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 blah. For me, those videos are coming out mid transfer and with spill is just lies. That for me is the final straw. Don't talk for me. Don't lie to me. I would rather them said nothing. Don't do an interview. Sign nobody and keep it secret. But the fact that you're coming out and telling me stuff, you're lying to me, and then you're giving me not everything you're not lying for. That for me is the final straw with the club. I won't be now spending money. It will be all OK jersey, wherever you buy them from. That is where my stuff will be coming from for my son, because there's one thing supporting and backing your club. I try to do it as minimal as possible, but kind of keep that tradition with my son. That's broken now until this changes. You don't get my customer money if you're just treating me like a piece of crap. It doesn't. That's not how it works.
Yeah. I think it's difficult, right? In terms of, I understand that that we're never going to have 100% truth of what goes on behind the scenes. I get that. No business is going to tell you that. But I would rather they came out and said, you know what, look, to be fair, we're really disappointed that we couldn't get XYZ over the line. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, well, we know it's difficult in January. No, tell us. Well, look, we had 3 right-sided players lined up. For whatever reason, we couldn't get them. But this is their job. Do you know what I mean, James? Like, this is their job. In your job, you can't say to somebody you're going to do something and then just halfway through go, oh, well, you know it's difficult in January. Do you know what I mean?
No, I promised to install it. I've installed half of it.
Yeah,
Chill out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know I promised to put in a power shower, but I tell you what, look, there's a tap. Just run a bucket under that or something.
Yeah, bucket, yeah. Still doable. Like, what's the problem?
Yeah. And
I'm charging you double.
What I did yesterday, I don't know if you saw on the show, what I did yesterday was I actually watched the first few minutes of last January's exit interview from the January window. And the first 2 minutes is identical. It's difficult in January. We had our targets. We've got a plan. But, you know, when you go, hang on, let's look at the last 3 Januaries, right? This is what Johann Lange, since he's been at the club, has managed to do. In window 1, he managed to get Radu Dragusin, who clearly wasn't wanted by the manager because he never played him, right? And Timo Werner, right, on loan. In January 2, he managed to get Tell on loan, right? Kinski, a backup goalkeeper, and Danso, a backup defender. No, I like Danso, but you get what I mean. He's not a first-choice centre-half. Now we come to this window. The only thing that saves him is that Conor Gallagher's a very good footballer, right? Other than that, you look at it. 2 backup defenders, a backup goalkeeper, a young left winger on loan, and a young 19-year-old left back from Brazil. That is 3 transfer windows in January from Johann Lange. And yet, every time we get to the end of a summer window, we hear, we'll go again in January. We've got our targets. We've got our plans. And that's why, James, when he says yesterday, we're going into the window in the summer with big ambitions, I don't believe that they know what big ambitions are. I don't believe them.
No, I agree. And I mean, we've said before, I also think that I don't think we'll go down. I think we're too good. Well, yeah, I think we're too good. But what an expensive gamble that is. Like, this is your company that's valued at 4 or 5 billion. You go down, that halves. So players leave, your best assets leave, regardless if you rate Romero, Van der Ven, Vicarios, they're better than championship level, they leave. Udogi leaves, Porro leaves. You are then seriously in trouble with paying stadium fees and stuff over the course of the year. So if you take away the whole footballing side of things, even as a business prospect, what a gamble you're taking. Why take that gamble?
Right.
Go and sign one attacking player that's going to win you 3 games to the end of the season. That guarantees you up with what you've got. So, like I said, I do not think we're getting relegated. I think we are too good to go down. But you are seriously chancing your arm with something that should never be a chance. Not when you could have got Lookman on a loan and Duran on a loan. They're risks you don't need to take.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. By the way, chocolate hobnobs dipped in tea is fantastic, by the way. Look, I agree. I don't think we're going down at all. I think there's too many teams worse than us that we won't go down. I think we will get some points between now and the end of the season. I don't think that's an issue. The bigger picture, though, isn't just the relegation, right? The bigger issue is Spurs went into this transfer window surely with a plan.
Well,
right? Well, you'd like to think. We're now sitting here going, okay, 7 new injuries on top of whatever the plan was to add to those players that we didn't think were injured. Yeah. You sell Brennan Johnson, fine. And then Kudus gets injured 2 days later. That's unfortunate, but it's happened, right? So now you've taken your 2 right wingers. What's the plan, Spurs? By the way, Kudus got injured on the 4th of January. That gave Spurs 28 days. By the way, they should have already been planning a right-sided player because they knew Johnson was going. But that gave Spurs 28 days to go and replace Johnson and Kudus, or at least one of them. Didn't do it. Son wasn't replaced in the summer. They've had 4 to 5 months. By the way, 154 days between the 2 transfer windows shutting. So the summer window shut and this January window shut, 154 days they had to get a left winger to replace Son. Nope. So you haven't done the right, you haven't done the left. 154 days to get a striker in. Nope. I think Richarlison went down injured, in the first 7 or 8 days of January? Nope. Didn't do that. Okay, cool. Ben Davies goes down injured. Right? Whatever you think of Ben Davies, he can play centre-half and left-back. Replaced him, 19-year-old kid. It's nothing will ever change while these owners are here. I don't believe they've got a plan. I don't believe that we're gonna go into the summer with any real gusto. And let's be honest, how ready are you, James, for the excuse in the summer of, but it's difficult because there's a World Cup on?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Everything you're saying there is what I agree with. There's always an excuse. And the thing is, you could almost argue the players we brought in, we didn't need as much. So like a left back, okay, we need a left back. We don't need them as much. We do have 2 that could, or 1.5 that could play there in Spence. We have no left forward. We have no left winger. You know, clear to see that Frank doesn't like him because he would be playing. We have no left winger. We signed the midfielder. Look, whether or not you agree now, obviously Bergvall's gone out and stuff like that, but you do have Bissouma, you do have Polina, you do have Archie Gray. So you've got players there. We have no left winger. We've had not one all season. So there's no excuse before the season starts. No excuse in mid-season. I really don't get it. They must know something behind the scenes. For me, I don't understand it. The only thing that makes sense to me is that Frank and everyone's going to be fired. And they didn't want to put money or players into that. That's the only thing I can think of that I would say makes sense. But then they just brought in another Brentford guy, so it doesn't make sense. I really don't know what the plan is.
I don't know what the plan is either. I think
that's what fans are more annoyed about, isn't it? Because if they come out and said to us, "Look, we're looking to buy 1 player in January. We can't spend big." If they said to me, "Like, we can't spend big in January because of X, Y, Z," we're going to buy 1 or 2 players, and then in the summer we're going to have 200 million, and then they spend 200 million, or vice versa. Okay, but they don't. Everything they say, they do the opposite, and I think that's the reason why fans are like, and even fans to an extent are the same. Every fan blames someone for something. Well, it's your fault. You said it was in the chat. You said you wanted Lange. No, I said the players Lange brought in were better than Fabio. Well, do you want that Lange then? No, I never said anything like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what are we protesting for? Enoch out, Levy out.
point
players
scoring
in. There's
to
there's
actually
so
worry about
many. Our fans get more enjoyment out of telling our fans they're wrong. I told you this. You're wrong because of this. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm big. You're small. That kind of childish crap. Rather than actually supporting the team and go, you know what, that wasn't acceptable. Whether it's Frank, who seems the target now, was Frank's problem. It's the coach's problem. It's the players' problem. You need to pick with one and stick with it together. If we're not happy with how the club's run, let's get the top part changed and then everything will change underneath. We're kind of going, right, he's the only guy that comes out and does interviews, i.e. Frank. Let's pin it all on Frank. Doesn't make sense. Romero's the only one that comes out and speaks in public. Pin it all on Romero. Well,
the whole thing's a mess. There's, as I said, there's a blame pie and there's a lot of slices of pie to go around. But can we worry about the person who made the pie? Can we worry about the chef?
I mean?
Can we have a look at Enoch first before we start looking at who made the pastry, who got the filling? Do you know what I mean? Who put it in the oven? You know, who cut it up? We're enough of these cooking analogies, but yeah, absolutely, mate. Nothing will change, but at the end of the day, everyone seems so. I've said this for a while. It's why I don't like YouTube anymore. Everyone's so insistent on point scoring rather than actually, okay, where's the club going? You said this, so what? But you said this, so what? You said, okay, what? My opinion was wrong on that and right on that. What's it about?
Oh, absolutely. You know what I mean? If I ever go onto a show now and say, for example, you say Ginola was the best winger, I say Gareth Bale was the best winger. No matter what you say, it'll be like, you rated Vicario, you're wrong. That got to do with anything.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You said you didn't believe in protest and then you went to a protest. You were wrong. What does that even mean? Like, I'm allowed to change my opinion. Like, it's like, no, you stick with your opinion, you die by your opinion. Well, Son is terrible then, because the first season at Tottenham, he was awful. And then he turned into one of the best wingers I've ever seen at Tottenham Hotspur. So what? No one can say that. Poch was going to be sacked. Poch was going to be sacked. What does that mean? Like, yeah. It would be nice, to be honest, for fans to have a fan conversation. Yeah, and it's a shame because we say it all the time. And to be fair, I think like I actually think like a lot of the YouTubers that I actually speak to and in the circle with all have adult conversations. They're all fairly normal. It's the people like behind them that are like, well, no, you're wrong because of X, Y, Z. Other than that, I miss Tottenham and actually having an adult conversation about Tottenham and going, well, I actually think Harry Kane was better. The prime example I said to you the other day, I think Harry Kane was a better striker than Thierry Henry. You're not fucking sending me death threats. Do you know what I mean? No way. I'm going to burn your house down. Like, it don't make sense. What happened to just having a general conversation about football? Who cares who's wrong or right?
Yeah, I think it's too much point scoring. So, like, for example, there's a guy that loves Solanke. And as soon as Solanke scored 2 the other day, it comes on out gutted, you're in the mud about Solanke. I'm like, well, hang on. First and foremost, can we see if Solanke can do this over a number of years? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is what we do in football. And I was speaking to Perchy yesterday, James, and the example I gave was this. I went on to loads of different panel shows earlier on this season where fans were all doing their dub. Do you remember they were doing the whole, Florian Wirtz 007, he's crap. He's played 7 games, 0 goals, 0 assists. When I was asked, one of the things I said was, look, I said, I don't buy into all this childish 007 stuff. So Florian Wirtz is a really good footballer. We've seen that. He's a top player, needs time. He will adjust. He will settle his quality. But again, we're going to judge someone so quickly. You don't know a player, right? Look what's happened now. He's settled. He's on fire. Goals, assists, playing really well, winning games for Liverpool. And sometimes, it's not about being right. It's about just, can't we ever have the conversation where we go, yeah, he's not hit the ground running, but you know what? Really good. Let's use a different example inside our own house. Xavi Simons, right? Xavi Simons is a very good footballer. He's a very good footballer who clearly needed some time to settle, still needs time to settle. Came over for the first 3 months, was living in a hotel, and the reports were that he was struggling to adjust. Now we've heard that he's moved into his house. His family have moved in with him. He's settling. And what have we seen in the last 5-6 games? His performances suddenly you're going, cool, he can play. And again, what have we done all season? Most people in the chat, what a waste of money. He's a disgrace. 50 million. You're like, whoa, can we just take? And that's why with the whole Frank thing, I'm like, can we let people, can people have some time to settle? Some time to settle, but everyone's so aggy on each other. You're wrong. You're just wrong. You're wrong. And it's like, oh, I just don't care.
Mate, to be honest, I enjoy the shows where you have a couple of people on and they're all talking and different opinions and so on. I'm not going to lie to you, mate. When you start bringing up the comments, I think it like provokes people, and I think people want their 10 seconds of fame. And it's such a shame because there are so many good comments that you go through and you think you could have a really good conversation over that. But then it's like people are just idiots that just kind of want to splurt rubbish. For me, I love football. I love talking about football. At the moment, I hate Tottenham. I love football. It don't matter what club. You could say, did you watch Arsenal Chelsea yesterday? Yeah, I did, because I enjoy football. I like watching it. I like having a conversation. If I go into a customer's house, I mean, most of them are Norwich around here, but they'll go, oh, are you Norwich? Do you support? And then one thing goes on to the next one. You've had a half-hour conversation about a team you don't even like or support. That for me is what football is. Whereas now, it's so just cutthroat. It's like, nah, you're wrong. He's crap. That's this, that's that. I mean, Xavi, for me, prime example. I said about Xavi is the reason I believe he's a good player is because he's doing all the hard things correct. Those hard things are what a good footballer does. The easy stuff comes with fitness, strength, getting used to the league, the 3-yard, 4-yard passes. If you think of Fred and I over a needle ball 40, 50 yards or beat 3 men and knock it off, that's the hard stuff. You can tell he's a good footballer because he's doing the hard stuff. The easy stuff comes with confidence.
Yeah. The short 5-yard passes and stuff that he messes up, that's just purely concentration and confidence. But the ability in Simmons, Florian Wirtz, anyone who was looking at these players and went, they're no good. I really have to question. Sorry, do you understand what a good footballer looks like? Xavi Simmons for me, and that doesn't mean. By the way, right? It doesn't mean that between now and the end of the year, Xavi Simmons is going to be man of the match for every single game.
No.
But the way he ran that second half against Man City, you could just see, yeah, you can play, mate, and you will be a cult hero at Spurs.
Yeah.
Once
if you carry on.
Imagine him now playing with a top centre forward, top left winger, ball playing midfielder, couple of top fullbacks. Suddenly, basically, imagine him in this team. Ready?
Imagine him in a fully fit Spurs team.
Imagine him in that team.
Yeah, but I almost think even if you don't pick that team, if you pick, say, him on the left, for example, Maddison in the middle, Kudos on the right. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of Solanke, but Solanke up top, Gallagher and Polina in the holding role. For me, that for me is a good team. Like, I know people like to knock it, and so do I. But when you've got that Xavi left, Kudos right, Maddison middle, Solanke up top, you could upgrade. 2 midfielders I'm really happy with, and Polina, Gallagher. I like Porro. I get why people don't. It's for me, it's a left back. Udogie, prove your point, or buy a new left back and a new goalkeeper. They're the 2 things for me. If everyone's fit, you kind of go, okay, like, now show me what you can do. If we was where we are with that squad under Frank, I would be the first one screaming at the top of the hill saying Frank has to go, because that team for me is a really good team.
Yeah. So if we forget the back four for a moment, if we were able to put out that forward 6, I'm not saying the 2 midfielders are forwards, but if we were able to put out that forward 6,
I would put Kudos for Kulu. Personally.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I actually started typing it, and the first one that came up was Ku. Yeah. Oh, hang on. What am I doing here?
There is.
Yeah. If Spurs were putting out that forward line more often than not, no one's going to tell me right now we're where we are in the league. No one's going to tell me that we're not better to watch. No one's going to tell me that we're not playing. Look, Simmons and Maddison, the number of through balls they're going to play between them. Kudus offering you the width. Solanke holding the ball up. Gallagher as the box-to-box. Paulinho mopping up. That's not bad.
That's good.
That for me is a top 6 team. That for me is top 6, challenging top 5. But the problem is, football isn't about 6 players. Do you know what I mean? Football's about the depth and about the squad. And the problem that we have is when these players come out, the level of players that are having to go in are so far below these that the drop-off goes from top 6 to bottom 6 for me. And that's the problem. So if we saw that, I'll tell you what, let's go one further. If we saw this, right, let's just say, just for example, Robertson, because we know he's coming in, right? We saw that, Van der Ven, Romero, and then we'll put in Porro, right? Don't worry about the keeper for the moment. If we saw that more often than not, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I want a proper left winger, so then it allows you to switch between Simmons and Maddison in games. Kulu and Kudus can switch between games. You have got Gallagher, Paulinho, Bergvall, bring in a ball playing number 8. Suddenly, how different does it look, mate?
So do you think, absolutely, I agree with everything you're saying. If that's the squad and we are below the bottom, the 10th, if we're 10th or below, I am the first one dying on that hill to get Frank out of this club.
Agreed.
100%. I will be there going, no excuses. I personally don't rate Robertson that much anymore. I watch a little bit because family are Liverpool fans. I think he's finished. Every time he gets stand up with a bit of pace, he gets roasted every week. But I get why he would be there. But for me, do you think, again, playing devil's advocate, that the board have seen that team and gone, let's wait, get everybody back, and then we get one mega left winger, one mega left back, or whatever?
Right.
Like, do you think?
Possibly. Possibly. Now, this is where I'll try and add a little bit of devil's advocate.
I don't know. I don't know if they will do it. I'm just saying it as an option.
Now, I get what Lang is saying, that we got players coming back. The problem is, I think what you said earlier on in the show, it's a huge gamble because and I don't think it's going to happen, if the worst came to the worst and Spurs went down, I don't think we will, by the way. I think we'll be closer to Europe than we will relegation when the season ends. But if the worst came to the worst, you could turn around and go, oh, well, we didn't buy players because we were waiting for these players to come back, but we've been relegated in the meantime. All that means is all of those players we just seen on that screen then leave. There's no way Paulinho, Gallagher, James Maddison, Kudus, and Xavi Simmons and Solanke playing the Championship next year.
Yeah.
All 6 of them, their agents, the moment you go down are going, hang on, we need to go. And most of them will probably, if their agent's any good, probably have a relegation release clause anyway. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those. It's a tightrope. And even if you don't get relegated, if you finish 12th, 13th, mate, Van der Ven's going to go to the World Cup, and they are normal people. I know people don't like to think that they are normal people. Yeah. They're going to go, how'd you get on this season? Finish 13th. What do you mean you finish 13th? Like, what? They're going to get that banter. They're normal people. Come join me. Yeah, absolutely. Come Inter. Vicario will go, yeah, I'll come. Like, I know a lot of people don't like him, but it looks like he's going Inter. There's so many things that you kind of think, even if you finish low down, you're gambling. I mean, don't get me wrong. You take out Van der Ven and Romero out of that squad, you are then going, Danso, I like Danso, but now you need to get a left centre back as well. Like, I don't know. It is definitely one of them, but it's hard because that squad you just put up there, I really want to see play football. I actually want to see that team play football.
I agree. And by the way, people forget where Maddison or Simmons or Kudus were. It was just more a case of they can all rotate, and it was just a case of getting them in. But look, now with that front 6 we put up, now imagine that you add a top left winger to this as well, right? Now imagine you add a ball playing midfielder to this as well, and you add another striker up front with Solanke as well. Suddenly, look at the options we've got, right? Suddenly, you're going, all right, next season, if, big word, if we can keep the majority of the squad fit, we're not a bad team. Now, this is where my heart and my head are conflicted for next year, James. My head knows that you're going to need some sort of European football to entice most players that want to join. And don't get me wrong, there'll be some players that will say, okay, it's only 1 year. Spurs will definitely get back into Europe next year. But my heart says wouldn't it be nice to have a year next year where we don't have Europe, right? And we can actually play once a week, get a settled team, and just let the manager work on the training ground Monday to Friday without having to rotate every 3 days with kids. That also means you can let more of the fringe players go out on loan to clubs because you don't need as big a squad. But at the moment, it doesn't look like we're going to be getting European football anyway, mate, unless we win that Champions League, which I don't think.
I personally, the perfect scenario for me is getting something like Conference League. I think that would be good because I think the level of opposition's a lot lower than even the Europa League. And then therefore it would allow a lot of the fringe players, you could then have that conversation with Mikey Moore. Look, that competition's your competition. Go out there and show me what you can do. Or you can have that competition, that conversation with, I don't rate him, but Donnelly, look, that's your competition. Show us what you can do. I do want some sort of, from a selfish point of view, I want some sort of mid-season game. As I like watching, well, I don't like watching Spurs at the moment, but it's nice to have Tottenham on during the week and the weekend.
I hear you.
But
well, at the moment,
I agree also.
We're 7 points off 7th, which I believe is conference.
Yeah.
So at the moment, it's going to need a run, right? But my biggest issue for next year isn't European football. My biggest issue next year is, listen, if the Romeros and the Van der Vens want to go, right? Again, the word's really, if they want to go, just move them on. Don't get me wrong, I don't want Van der Ven, for example, to go. But if they want to go, move them on. If there's players that are so injury prone, you don't think you're going to get them at the top of the Premier League, move them on. I just want to see Spurs have one summer, just one, James, where we go, we've actually planned the squad building here. Okay, as fans, right, okay, we know we need a left back. Look at that. We know we need a left winger. We know, okay, look at the 4-5 we bought in. Look at the 4-5 that have gone. Nice squad. Go for the season. I just know, as well, deep down. I'm not speaking for you, but I am kind of. We just know we're going to get to the end of September. The end of August. And it will be, why haven't we bought a top left winger? Because no one was available. We haven't. Do you know what I mean? And that's
everyone was at the World Cup was going on. That's what it'll be. That the agents were at the World Cup, players were at the World Cup. You know what it's going to be. And
we
that's
should be dealing with those agents before. We should be dealing with those agents now. Like now, from February through to May, should be. Listen, let's get this locked up, so that as soon as that season finishes and the window opens, we can start putting in bids before players go to a World Cup.
Yeah, and there are certain things like, like if we were a smart club, Savio, for example, that's who we've been linked with a lot, so I'll use Savio. If I was Tottenham, I'd be smart and go to his agent and go, you do realise they've just signed Semenyo, right? You ain't getting any game time, right? Want to join us and be guaranteed starter first, blah, blah, blah. Now, put those wheels in motions or those kind of thoughts in the back of their head, like, they have just signed Semenyo. You ain't going to be getting much game time. Do you want to stay there? What do you reckon, X, Y, Z? And the player will get in his head, right, that's where I want to go. That's where I'm up. Whether it happens or not, you've kind of started that. And it's the same with getting players out. For me, Brennan Johnson, look how quick that was. We all knew that was coming for ages. It's like, right, done, open, you're out of here, on to the next one. That, for me, is how you should be working with getting players out and in. And also, like you're saying about if players want to go, at some point we're going to have to let a couple of the big guys go or big name players go that some rate, i.e. a Romero, a Udogie, a Vicario, Tell, whoever they may be, you're going to have to go, you ain't good enough. Maybe Bergval's one of them. He said, look, you're not going to get in anymore. Madison's here, Xavi's here. You're not a defensive player. We've got Polina, Gallagher, blah, blah, blah. Like, are our fans going to be like, yeah, that's fine, we'll let them go? Or are they going to go, no, like, he's going to be an elite footballer? Like, oh, no, sympathy. At some point.
We pine after players so much, don't we? We pine after players. I remember Ndombele, for example. By the way, in 1 minute, I am going to do some super chats, and then we're going to talk about Levy before we finish. I remember people talking about Ndombele and Lo Celso for 5 years. It was always, this will be their year. This will be their year. This will be their year. And it's like, after year one, I was ready to sell both. Like after year one, I'm like, it's not worked, move it on. But we have this, can't sell him. He's going to be amazing. He's going to be like, our fans think that in 3 or 4 years' time, our whole 11 is going to be made up of more, right? Luca Williams, Barnett, Vuskovic, Bergval, Gray, Byfield. You know, it's almost like Yang. It's almost like our fans think that every single one of these youngsters is going to make it. And for me, the bigger clubs move them on. Look at Chelsea. Chelsea go and buy really good young players from across the world. How many of them actually stick it out? And how many of them are moved on to Strasbourg or to Spain or to Italy? Do you know what I mean? Like, but we're gonna do that again.
It's like people have that fear of you know, like the whole Mo Salah, Kevin De Bruyne. They fear that we're going to lose one. We sell one kid and he turns out to be magic, and no way, we've just lost the best thing in sliced bread. But in the respect of doing that, we could have sold 15 players all at £5 million each and made 75 to 100 million pounds worth of profit. But we don't. We just keep them. Don't use them. They rot on the bench. Then they're sold for nothing or given away.
Yeah, but the problem is what we do what we always do, right? Like, for example, I don't think Papa Sarr's good enough to be a regular at Tottenham Hotspur, right? Doesn't mean I think he's dreadful, but I don't think he's good enough. What we do, though, James, is we see them have a game. Like when he came on Sunday, he was good, right? And we go, oh, see, that's why you can't let him. And you're like, well, where's the standards? The standards shouldn't be he's come on and had a good game. The standard should be he's been here for 4.5 years. We've never seen a string of performances. We've never seen anything that makes you go, he can tie down a central. Like after 4 years at the club, if you are not one of the main two centre mids, what does that tell you? If you've been here for 4.5 years and you have not managed to cement a place in the 11 with any manager, doesn't that tell you, yeah, you're not quite good enough? But we see them have a cameo and we go, oh, you can't sell Sarr because someone comes in right now and says there's 35, 40 million for Papa Sarr. Yeah. See you later. Thank you. Nothing against you, James, but see you later. Let's reinvest and go again. But we're very sentimental. Very sentimental.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe almost sticking up for the fans in a way is the level is so low. The moment we do see one good performance, you're like, oh, maybe he could save us because everything else is so poor.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Look, let me do some super chats. First of all, big up to Adam, who's been a member for 3 months. He said, I never respond to rudeness, neither should you. Yeah, listen, maybe that's been one of my weaknesses down the years as a YouTuber. We've all got weaknesses. You know, I always wanted, when I first came onto YouTube, I said that I wanted it to be about all the viewers. I wanted, you know, I hate it when I go onto a show and YouTubers don't involve the viewers, but I probably went completely to the other end of the pendulum and got caught up in a tangle of web. But big up to you, Adam. Thank you very much. And big up to Jordan, 2 massive super chats, as always. I really wish I knew who this guy was. I know his name's Jordan, but I really wish I knew who he was. First one says, Lange's idea of a big, ambitious summer is 2 average senior pros plus 4 teenagers. We kicked the can down the road last summer with Paulinho and Mawani. Where is all the money we have going? Jordan, and this is bang on. This is bang on. For me, said it in the summer. If you're going to kick the can down the road by bringing in loans like Paulinho and Mawani, I don't mind that as long as when you get to the next window, you go bang. You know, that's why we kick the can down the road. We use that money instead for X, Y, Z. But we've just kicked the can down the road again. You think we've not replaced Jordan? We've not replaced Son for a minimum of a year. If we replace him in the summer, that's been a year where we've not bought a proper left winger. So absolutely shocking. Big up to you. And then another massive super chat. Thank you. He said, Lang, better pray to God that we get no more injuries. Otherwise, the January window will look even worse. Constantly kicking the can down the road just means whatever we do in the summer will probably be half a job done. Jordan, I think this is a great point. One thing we're not realizing as well is we've now, I think we're at 13 fit players. Right. And by the way, when we say fit, Solanke's just come back from 6 months out. Dragashina's just come back from a year out. Adogi's just come back from 3 months. Like these are not fit. And if any more of them go down, you're now looking at the kids that got knocked out last night 5-1 to Real Betis. 5 of the kids that played last night were on the bench at the weekend against Man City. If you start getting down to that level, it's just incompetence. And the one thing I would say here that I agree with as well, what we'll do is when we get to the summer, we won't be able to do everything we need to do. And then we'll start making excuses again, going, can't do everything in one window. When in theory, it's been over a number of windows that we've not managed to do it. But big up to you, Jordan. Really appreciate that. James, look, I didn't title this show, Levy to sell 1 billion Spurs stake. Lots of reports that that Daniel Levy is going to sell his 29% ownership of ENIC and therefore 29% ownership of Tottenham Hotspur. And it's going to be roughly 1 billion. Lots of different reports saying it's going to go to superstar DJ Brooklyn Eric and also the businessman from China. Reports yesterday, Simon Jordan said that apparently he'd spoken to Levy and Levy said that those guys don't actually have the money to buy it out.
Well,
what does
there was something I was going to, ask the question, say the opinion. I don't know how that can be true that they don't have the money to buy it, because if we're talking about just a house, lucky enough to buy my own house, you have to show proof of funds, proof of earnings, proof of everything before you even enter the conversation of going in and signing anything.
Yeah.
So for me, Daniel Levy would have said, right, it's valued at $1 billion. Get the lawyers. He'll go to the lawyers, show me their proof of funds, and they would have gone, there's my proof of funds. Okay, you mean business. Or we don't have proof of funds. See you later. And if they didn't have proof of funds, why wouldn't they just come out and go, no, they didn't have the money. I asked them to show me up front. They didn't have the money. Well, what is he gaining about longing this on? If anything, more fans are going to get behind the fact that there could be a potential takeover and it could force him out of it more. I mean, I don't think it would. But for me, normally, when you're talking about big businesses, big houses, properties, big purchases, you need to have credit checks, show proof of funds. It's not just like me going down the road going, that's a nice £5 million house, I'll buy it. They'll go, well, if you've got the money, well, let's have a conversation about that a bit later on, shall we?
Give me a couple of months, I'll rustle it together, don't worry.
Yeah, let me try the swimming pool first at least. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't get how that could be true.
No, I don't. I mean, I think it's interesting because look, a lot of people with these types of conversations, I'm never as invested as I am with other stuff. And I'll tell you what I mean by that, James. With these sorts of conversations, you never know what's going on. There's a difference between talking about which footballer are we going to sign and what conversation businessmen are having at a level where we're talking about £1 billion sales, right? We're not talking about you discussing, shall I buy your laptop off you for 200 quid? You know what I mean? We're talking about £1 billion here. But lots of people saying, well, if he does sell the £1 billion, what difference does it make? Like whoever comes in, they're going to have the minority share of the ownership of Tottenham Hotspur. So what say will they have? Will it change anything? Will they have a seat on the board? Some people are saying no. Other people are saying, well, of course, if you own 29%, you do. I'm not an expert with all of that.
No,
but again, it just seems messy.
Yeah. Look, I think that the thing that our fans will get carried away with and run with was, I'm pretty sure in the pre-season he come out with was it about £1 billion he was prepared to invest in squads and upgrades, or it was something along those lines. It was mental money that people were now thinking, hold on, it's the same guy. Is he prepared to chuck some money in? Because I think Newcastle was similar. They had a part investment with loads of ridiculously wealthy men and they went down that route. But for me, it's one of those, not so much proving the funds. If they're going to buy it for $1 billion, I almost want them to prove that they've got 5-6 billion to then reinvest and go forward and take the club, because talk is cheap, right? And if they say, I say cheap loosely, but if they buy Levy's thing for £1 billion, that gets them rights, a third of the stadium, a third of the training ground, a third of the hotels, a third of all the property on the high street, a third of all of that stuff. I mean, they are walking into an absolute gold mine. At what point are they thinking we're going to invest all our money in this, or are they looking at it as a business investment and thinking, hold on, we're going to be earning a fortune here. We need to get in here while it grows.
Do you know where I come from with all of this? Is my biggest question is, and look, we can't affect this. So this is just purely a chat. We can't affect this. We're just normal people, right? Let's say that Brooklyn Eric, the old NASA DJ, let's say that Brooklyn Eric spends £1 billion. Let's just, for argument's sake, and he takes 29% of the club. My question is, okay, so what does that then mean for? What's the discussion with him when he comes in? Is it, hey, I want to buy a third of the club. I also want to invest X amount of money so that the club can buy better players? Or do the majority shareholders, i.e. the Enoch family, turn around and go, no, hang on, we buy the players. We got the structure of the club because we've got the majority. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is always my worry when it's not a complete takeover.
Well, it could be a bit of both, right? It could be, look, 30% when you're buying something in something so big doesn't seem like a big deal. But if you've got 30% of, if you've split into 3 people, for example, and you've got 2 people prepared to back and one saying, I ain't backing, you're a third of the profit down. So you can only do so much. So if the budget was 100 million, it could have been 150 million if you all chipped in 50 million each, or vice versa. So for me, it's quite a hard one. You could see it both ways. I don't buy into the narrative of he's going to come in and turn this club into PSG. I don't buy that. I don't think that's possible. I think that needs filthy rich. That needs PSG, Newcastle owners. That needs filthy rich. This guy hasn't got enough money on his own. That's why there's 4 investors trying to get £1 billion or 5 investors trying to get £1 billion together. And I may be wrong again. I have no idea. This is just me kind of splurting.
Yeah, of course.
But if there's 5 of them to get £1 billion together, they do realise that we need another £1 billion spent on the squad. So it's like, what are we doing here? Like, if the PSG or Newcastle owners come in, we earn so much money that they could go, yeah, there's 500 million. It means nothing to me. Like,
yeah.
I do feel like they're kind of scrimping to get this £1 billion over the line with 5 people invested or whoever. I don't think that they're coming in and going, here's my £1 billion to buy you, and by the way, you can have another £1 billion just because why not? Like, I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, I think as well, the interesting thing is when we look down the road, and I use that term loosely, we look down the road at Man United. Obviously, Ineos have bought a £1 billion stake. I believe, I don't know, please, I'm not an expert. I believe it's something like £1 billion stake in Man United, right? If I'm not wrong, he owns like 25% of the club. Somebody in the chat will tell me differently. But I believe that Ineos are now the ones running the club. So even though they're not the majority shareholder, every time you see at the club, it's Sir Jim Ratcliffe there. He's the one talking about managers and players, and it just seems all a bit like, for me, I'd prefer just a full-on takeover. I'd prefer a full-on so-and-so have bought the club for 4 billion. They now run the club. Now, people will say, careful what you wish for. Grass isn't always greener. But at the moment, it's such a mess. Unless we got relegated, I can't see how it could be much worse. But I don't want it to be £1 billion takeover for Levy's share and then nothing changes. Because what's the point? You know what I mean? I don't want it to do that and then we just go, right, what does Eric do? Oh, no, he's just a silent partner in all of this, So I just don't.
He's just reaping the rewards. Yeah, no, and I think that's fair. I'm the same. I want someone that's just going to come in and want what's best for the club, whether that's 100 million every season that we spend, whether that's 500 million. I want a plan going forward, and I want someone that's best for the club. So, right, we need 3 players. Here's 40 million each, or whatever we've got. We've got 120 million to spend. This is where I want to go forward. At the moment, like I said, mid-transfer window, we're getting told we're going to go out and splash, and then we don't. Yeah. I just want someone that's going to come out, talks the talk, walks the walk, and wants what's best for the club, right? Ain't that what we all want? Like, I want someone in charge that wants what's best for the club. What's best for the club is to push us as high as possible, whether it means, you know, we spend 500 million every season, or whether it means we spend 100 million on players that are nearly there that become good, like your Waltons before he went to Palaces, or your Elliots before he went to Norwich Forests. That is what I would like. I'd like a plan and then just go forward.
No, I agree, and look, I completely agree with my man Mike Zappa here, my Dominican Republic airport friend Mike Zappa. One owner, one vision is the only way, and you know it's funny because for all these years, James, you think how many fans at Spurs have always said, "Oh, but the way City and Chelsea do it, we don't want to do that. We want to grow organically." Now we're all sitting here going, "Please, can a really rich billionaire take us over and just buy all the best players?"
Yeah. Oh no,
well,
I agree.
I would like that. But by all intents purposes, mate. And again, I'm not close to the club. I know people always think YouTubers seem to have inside knowledge. We don't. You know, I'm not close enough to the club to know this, but it does seem from all the noises that the Lewis family, the Lewis trust, are going nowhere, right? There doesn't seem to be any intent that they are going to sell their part of the business anytime soon. So
yeah, no, I think it's again. I think that's the part of being left in the lurch, isn't it? It's. Well, you could look at it as in they didn't invest because they didn't want to spend any more money. Is that a sign of they're going to just cut their losses and leave? It could mean that anyone. I mean, you read any different article, you'll get a different saying. For me personally, I would love like Saudi Arabians to come in and literally just blow the roof off the stadium and buy everybody I've ever wanted to watch. But what I will do is I will take just watching some good bloody football for once, to be honest. I'd really enjoy just seeing a couple of players that get me off my seat and just enjoy watching football.
Do you know, I think the interesting thing about this, though, James, is we're a very different case to many other clubs. I think when people have taken over Man United, when the what's the group called? Clear Lake Capital, isn't it? They've taken over Chelsea.
Yeah.
When the owners who took over Liverpool, was it FSG?
FSG, yeah.
Newcastle's, and all of these people are taking over clubs that they've got quite old infrastructure, right? In terms of the stadium, I'm not saying their stadiums are bad, but quite old infrastructure. You know, Spurs surely are the most off the pitch. We've got to be the most attractive in terms of the stadiums done, the training
Absolutely.
ground. Everything there is ready to say, right, where does the bulk of the investment need to go? Now, I'm not saying they won't still build hotels and stuff, fine, but the bulk of the investment, where does it need to go? That's it, on that green bit of grass in the middle of the stadium. That's where these people need to come in and invest. At Chelsea, they're talking about buying a new stadium. At Man United, they're talking about, what, a £4 billion regeneration of the stadium, the training. At Spurs, fair play to Levy. I know people get.
I know what you're going to say. Yeah,
Levy's done that. He's left that for somebody, and again, it's really easy for us to say because we're not billionaires. But if these people have got play money, if they're that rich with money, where they're going, 500 million here, then surely Spurs are an attractive proposition, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely, and that is what I worry about with these guys that haven't got. Or I say haven't got huge money, like I know I'm talking about, but it's taken 4 or 5 of them to get the £1 billion together. That is kind of what I worry about, because I don't want another guy coming in going, we've blown our money buying. We ain't really got loads to start investing. Yeah. I really don't want that, because then that's just going to be in the same predicament that we're in. I would love, like you said, if someone was to come in and buy the whole club for £1 billion, I mean, I don't know what the profits are, but even if they're Saudis or whoever, or American football's there, for God's sake. You could literally fly your squad over every year or every other month, to be fair, because America flying from one side to the other is just the same as flying from Florida to England or whatever, New York to England. But they are all so set up with everything that there's no excuse. And I think that in fairness to Tottenham fans, is why they're so annoyed. What is the excuse now? We have no training ground, built it. We have no stadium, built it.
Yeah.
We are a money-making machine. For me, I said when we opened that stadium, and I think it's kind of finally come into fruition, is we don't need Champions League football anymore because the events that we put on in that stadium make that money and some every year. So we've almost guaranteed Champions League money without qualifying for Champions League money. That puts the owners in such a strong position to say, why am I going to spend more money in this club and gain 30 million a year? I will just put on 2 more Beyonce concerts and earn that anyway. That is what I believe it's gone to.
I think that the difficult thing for me is can you find the first thing is, do the Lewis family want to sell? If they don't, all of this is moot, right? Like I'm talking about a full sale, not Levy's share. And if they don't want to sell, which so far it looks like they don't, none of this really matters.
Yeah.
And that you are 100% right. That is the frustration. The frustration has got to be that Tottenham Hotspur are in the position where you go, right, there's no more roadblocks. There's no more roadblocks. Now, whilst I think we've got to be clever with how we spend because top players aren't going to pick us naturally at the moment over Arsenal, City, Liverpool, there's no roadblocks. You're right. Years and years ago, it was, we can't compete because we don't have Champions League football. Then we got into Champions League for the first time and then did it again 7 times in the next 15 years or whatever it was, right? Oh, we don't have the infrastructure in the stadium. Well, we dealt with that.
No.
We've got that. We've had that now for 7 years. You're now looking going, what is the roadblock? What's the next hurdle that's stopping Tottenham go from this size club to this size club? And I think that's why fans are frustrated.
Even like you saying with the stuff, I mean, look, I wanted Daniel Levy gone as well, but the stuff that he's done behind the scenes, we are so far clear of FFP. I think someone said you could almost spend 500 million a year for the next 6 years and still be okay. And you think you are so far clear that it would be amazing to see someone come in and actually, like you said, have the passion to want to do well. I just worry. I feel like this DJ guy got more clout from that kind of comments on the ground and then posted a picture of inside the stadium, the training ground. I just feel like sometimes people, obviously he's wealthy, obviously, you just kind of, are you that wealthy to kind of back the club? And if you are, do you want to do it? That's the main thing.
If I was that wealthy, the last thing I'd want to touch is Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, I think it depends on how wealthy, right? If you're talking huge, then why not? But that's what I mean. If you're getting 4 or 5 people together, because I actually read that, I don't know if this is true, but the DJ is in it. The Chinese gentleman's in it. Yeah. Amanda Slavely, what's her name? Amanda Slavely, she's in it, and all of the Dubai or Saudi backing who follow her around are in it. So
I like kind of Amanda Stavely as well. I like Amanda Stavely. I don't know if you watched the Newcastle documentary.
I haven't, no, but I've seen.
When you see the documentary of how they went from them buying it to everything they put in place to try and get Newcastle, she just seems really switched on. She seems very, very switched on. I like her.
So there's a few things I did see was, and I may be wrong, so quote me if I'm wrong, but was the first interview was like, we want to win the league in 10 years. Like, that's the aim, is to win the league in 10 years or something. I like that, because you've come out, balls on the table, said this is what we're going to do. Well, maybe not balls if it's her, not sure. But then they've kind of backed it, right, with the money. I mean, I know they're having problems now, but that's FFP. That's not really them.
Yeah.
So for me,
everyone joining here doesn't have the FFP at this stage to contend with. Right? Do you know what I mean? The difference was at Newcastle as well. When again, I'm only saying surface level. I'm sure like Mighty Mag's in here, so might be able to tell me more about Newcastle. But from the outset, just from the normal fans' point of view, James, when people say, "Oh, well, look, Newcastle got Ashley out," I think Newcastle was worth 350 million, 330 million. There's a huge difference between selling a club for that much and selling a club for 3 to 4 billion.
Yeah.
And also what were they buying at Newcastle? They were buying the club. When you look at Tottenham with all the infrastructure around the ground, you know, when you look at all of the partnerships in terms of the boxing and the NFL and the concerts, there's a lot more that you're getting at Tottenham, which I'm guessing, I'm not an expert, I've never merged one of these deals before, otherwise I'd be filthy rich and wouldn't be on here. But I'm guessing that makes any sale very convoluted. I'm guessing that makes it really difficult. Like, what am I getting for my £1 billion? You know,
Yeah.
so
well, does it kind of link in with, again, and just kind of throwing ideas out there? I think is it what's the AIA? Isn't it? AIA, don't that end this season? Is that they're now moving to the training kit? I think.
Apparently, I
think,
saw
again, I might be wrong, but I think that ends this season and they're moving over to the training kit. So that gives front shirt sponsor to a buyer or whoever, you know what, I don't know if Chelsea did it, but they bought it, then they bought the women's team kit or women's team or something. But yeah, women's stadium. Whoever buys has got advertisement on the front of the kit, advertisement on the stadium. So if you're a Dubai airline or you're a Saudi airline, you've got the stadium, the kit, training ground you could sponsor the pitch now. You could literally plaster your stuff over the best stadium in the world or one of. You've got the training ground. Plaster your statement over there, your branding, the kit now. You know, you could have Dubai Airlines or whoever it is, I'm not sure, your NASA company, whoever it may be, you have got kit, stadium, training ground, pitch, everything. Not only is it going to be seen for football, like you said, NFL, when they open it up and they've got NFL, you've got the whole of America seeing it because America will watch it. So you are literally, again, easy to say, but if you was to buy that, big up Brian, if you was to buy that, you have got so much, not free advertisement, but big advertisement. You don't get bigger than that.
No, of course. And the other aspect, but just before I bring Brian in, look at Brian. He's whoever's coming in is also picking up the debt as well. Now, obviously, there's one or two ways of looking at that. Either they just let the debt run as it is and be paid off at what I believe it's roughly £30 million per year it's being paid off. Or
and how much is it? Do you know how much?
I believe it's like, isn't it something like £750 million in debt? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around that number. I'm not an expert with the numbers. This is where we could do with a Sean, really, or a Connor. But you know, if there is 700 million whatever of debt, then the new owners coming in can either get rid of that, I'm guessing, in one foul swoop, or just leave it running in the background. But it's still an attractive proposition for both football and for business, right? I mean, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Is it what's the time where you are? Is it morning?
It is 9:34 in the morning.
9:34 in the morning. Well, good morning to you. Hope the weather is better in Canada than it is.
I can guarantee you it's not. Before you even tell me what it is back home, I can guarantee you it's not better here.
By the way, are you holding that cat hostage because it's making a desperate attempt to jump out the window?
Door open. Chewy the giant just can open doors and everything. He likes to photobomb me. So here he is.
Well, welcome to the cat. I mean, listen, Brian, this is an interesting one, isn't it? In terms of, by the way, Brian,
I'll just add. I don't know if it's true. Apparently, Tottenham owe £1.17 billion, and it's the most in Europe. And annually you're paying off about 130 million. So you're talking of 10 years worth of debt, really, at 150 million a year. That is on sources, communications through Tottenham Hotspur. Financial end year. So that was a year ago, so it might be different, sorry. But that is what they're saying, 1.1 billion. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, good. That's what we like to hear. I mean, it's interesting that, you know, all down the years, we roughly once a year we get these rumors pop up, don't we? That someone's going to buy Spurs, someone's going to sell Spurs. This is happening. Where are you with this, right? Because this is slightly different, isn't it? This is now no longer someone buying Spurs outright. This is Daniel Levy letting go of his shares. how do you see this? How's it going to work with someone coming in and taking X percent or Levy's percentage? What impact are they going to have? Would you prefer a full out sale? Where are you with all this?
So first of all, I just do want to comment on something you were discussing beforehand. That Newcastle documentary is the best documentary football I've ever watched.
Yeah, it's good.
I think it's, and listen, you can look at it and say, well, the Amazon ones wanted to focus more on certain sections and they had more editorial rights.
Yeah.
The first 10 minutes of the Newcastle documentary, if anyone hasn't watched it, you will feel sick as a Spurs fan listening to what the number one guy says when he says he has zero understanding of football and he has zero input. He hires people that are footballing people to get the job done.
Yeah.
But the most important thing, you're talking about Amanda Staveley, who comes over the best on it. Not just the work to get the deal done, Savva. Obviously, it was heavily edited for this, but the work she put in to get Anthony Gordon over the line.
Yeah.
Like, literally, he knew Eddie Howe wanted Anthony Gordon. Not an Anthony Gordon could be in 5 years' time. Not an Anthony Gordon cheap alternative. He wanted Anthony Gordon. And she moved heaven and earth to get that over the line and was incredible in that. When it comes to what we're talking about here with Spurs, you and I spoke a lot Sunday, Savva, didn't we, on your way to the match? My way of looking at Spurs now, it is what it is, but I find it amazingly that people are falling for the same thing. This kind of thing happens every time after a foul transfer window. The transfer window has been absolutely useless. We're not spending money. Guess what? Let's take our eye off the ball. There's a takeover talk, or Levy's shares are up for grabs. Or I don't believe a solitary word of it. Until we see Tottenham Hotspur oh, look at that. I come on and James and the host leave. Wait. No, I'm good. I'm good. So I refuse to believe a word of it. We'll see if it develops. How many times have we been in this situation as Spurs fans and seen, all right, listen, just because my cat's hostage, you want to bring your dog into it?
He was clawing to get up. Like, oh, look at that.
But yeah, I literally, like I said, I don't believe a solitary word of it until it gets really far down the line and says, right, this is happening. It's just the same thing over again after a foul transfer window. But I do totally agree with you, Savva, on the way. I used to be on the idea that at least if someone else came in, it releases the chokehold that ENIC have on us, and there's another view there's another voice in the. But now I don't think that we've seen it. I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe.
So hypothetically, if what we're saying is true, what would you think about these guys, the guys that are coming in? What do you think about the whole situation?
I mean, I haven't spoken to you properly for a little while. Obviously, we chat on WhatsApp and everything. I was saying to Savva, and I've said to a lot of people, since or before I was coming back to Canada, I have so fallen out of love of this, out of YouTube, out of Tottenham, out of everything. And it's not because of Frank. It's not because of Lee. VAR, it's football as well. VAR, I hardly watch football anymore because it's come to the point where, like Savva said, I want to be able to go. All I do now is match day. I'm very, very alert to everything going on with Spurs and YouTube channels and content and social media. The day after, whatever the result, I'm heavily invested in maybe doing a late night Lily White or whatever. But then I don't give a monkeys till we play United. I don't care. I have my notifications on, so I've seen these people that are linked with us, and normally as soon as I see that, like we all do, we start deep diving. Who is this guy? What does he do? What's he brought? What's he developed? What's his interest in football? What has he done in sport? Don't know. Don't care.
You think you're going to buy us Erling Haaland?
Exactly. Are we going to start mixing it with the big boys?
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is basically what I've been listening to you two whilst I was having my breakfast is all I know because I don't pay any attention. Yeah, I refuse to.
I don't believe what we said either. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I know that. What I mean is I'm getting your views and listening to what your understanding of it. I'm refusing to go on Twitter or to any kind of Sky Sports or whatever and start investigating like, what are the feelings? Has there been any stuff in the Telegraph or papers around the world that have done pieces on what they've done in their business life. Normally, it's like a whole deep dive check-in, like when we're linked to a player. No, I don't. Mate, like I said, deadline day, I watched Suits. I didn't watch a single second.
Great program. Great
Mate,
program.
but mate, you know it's filmed in Toronto. So when I was back home and started watching it again, it's what I do when I get homesick. I just start watching shows that have got Toronto in the background and just start watching them. So
love Suits. By the way, 30% of FHTV is definitely not £1 billion. Yes, I did put the post up saying that the channel was for sale. I've had a few people contact me with some bids and some different structures of how they want it to work, but I know there's a lot of people who are not believing me. Just to clarify, at the moment, as it stands, it will be the 31st of March. Got a few things going on in my life outside of this. If that gets pushed back, the latest it will be is the end of the season. But at the moment, my aim is 31st of March, just for anyone that cares. It's funny, those that don't know me tell everyone on the internet why I'm doing it. Those that are closest to me understand why I'm actually doing it, which is interesting. Anyway, this scenario, we get this once a year though, don't we, James? Like, I remember last summer, not this summer gone, I think this time last year, there was it the Saudi oil company? I can't remember their name.
Yeah, there was.
What was it? I remember mocking up a picture of the arena, that it was the something arena.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the company. Somebody in the chat will know automatically. But this happens all the time. Is it different this time, James, now the fact that Daniel Levy has left the building, so to speak? Is it different? The Aramco, that's it. The Aramco, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
No, I think it's the hope that kills us as Spurs fans. I think it's the hope that kills us as Spurs fans. It's that what if, and that is what people are like, please let it be. I think we all know that, or we all think that we're a sleeping giant. I think that's how majority of the Spurs fans feel.
Yeah.
And it's like, please, what if somebody kind of, what if someone does come in and wants the best for Tottenham? What if they do have a lot of money and they do want to sign Harry Kane back and your Miles, I don't know, whoever. What if they do want to do something like that? That would be amazing. It would, just as a Spurs fan, I suppose that's what you're always going to want, right?
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, I don't know who's Alicia. Is this like an R&B singer? Is this meant to make sense to anyone? Alicia?
Elijah? Is it not Elijah?
The new player we're linked with that's going to be the next generational talent.
Yeah, sorry, Frosty. I don't know. I don't know who Alicia is. Yeah, no, I get it. It is the hope that kills you, Brian. But let me ask you, but obviously I've not spoken to you about this properly, but you know, this version of ENIC, Brian, we all say new owners in air quotes, but this version of ENIC talked a great game in the summer. And also, I think a lot of Spurs fans, we were very naive and we automatically went, oh my God, everything's going to be different now. Joe Lewis isn't involved. Levy's not involved. It's all going to change from window one. And I think in a way, has that put more pressure on this January and highlighted more that in essence, this is what we normally do, but that we were expecting something magical because of the new era? Is that fair to say?
Well, you look at it, and unfortunately, I fell for a lot of it. Me, of all people, I fell for a lot of it. I literally thought, right, Levy's gone. Let's see what they're made of. I'd been told by so many people of different parts of the world with different connections or affiliations to Spurs, you watch Vivian go. Vivian wants major success at this football club. So that is what I was grasping on. Then, like you said, if you look at everything they made from when Levy went, they made all the right moves and made all the right noise footballing wise. The 100 mil coming in, the reappointment of Paratici, the City guy, what we kept getting updated with, what we had so much silence for so many years, was the footballing aspect. I don't recall, normally in this gap from Levy to now, we've heard about 10 concerts, 3 boxing fights, and everything else, and hardly anything football. So you're like, okay, there is something different. Let's give it a go. And the bit that's really got to me, they're meant to be brilliant business people. When new owners or a new ownership model has come into a football club, the first thing they do to show the fans is, right, we mean business, is they make statement signings. They go, right, here we go. This is what we're about. This is our first audition to be able to show you what this new Tottenham is going to be like. This is like first impressions last. Remember, that's what they always say. First impressions last. And you've always got to make a great first impression. And they had a window to have a very good first impression.
Yeah.
There's no FFP constraints. There's no PSR. And I do get people won't want to sell players in the window. Well, Spurs have got the money to say, look, you might not want to sell him, but what do you want? Because we're prepared to give it. Because we want this. They had the. You go back to Man City. Wait, let's do it first. When we got Levy and Enoch coming, they sacked the devil, so-called, to hire God. That was their first move. And it was like, oh my God, you got rid of an Arsenal guy and you brought home a legend, the greatest player to play for the club. Then you look at all these other clubs. Manchester City, who are a nobody really to what they are now, first thing they do within hours of becoming the owners, they sign Robinho. When Arsenal changed from and brought Just Concrete in, they started backing the manager heavily. They always come in and do it. They had this audition and they have failed worse than all expectations. They have had the most horrific window. I mean, how many of us woke up on deadline day and said, you know what we need is an 18-year-old player from Hearts that we've never heard of, that can't get into the Hearts team, that you could have got done all window, but you've after what it's.
Let's talk about it. I just need to do a quick super chat and we'll talk about that. So big up to Adam. I know you've got a run, mate. He said it's like this situation was by design from Levy, especially his son running Tavistock. Lewis family are playing chess with our club after the king has fallen. And I think this goes back to Adam. Again, I think this is where I think a lot of fans would like a clean start, right? Not a part owner come in. I think this is where a lot of people now would like to say, okay, Enoch, thanks for the good things you've done for the last quarter of a century, but could we please have a fresh set of eyes with some fresh ideas, some fresh people coming in and look at this club? And I bet you if you ask most people now, Adam, and said, are you willing to willing to roll the dice that the grass might not be greener? I think a lot of people will say, well, yeah, at the moment, we're not gambling much. At the moment, and I know that the Europa League papered over the cracks, but we're not gambling much. So, look, I completely agree with you, mate. It seems like they're all interlinked, aren't they? Tavistock and Levy and Enoch and the board and the kids. It's all still there, and I think we need a clean start. But that's just my opinion. Big up to you, and big up to Dean Law as well, who put in a super sticker, always with a super sticker. So thank you very much, Dean, and thank you to Anonymous, who just sent me £5 on the coffee app. So that is pinned. So please, thank you very much for that, whoever Anonymous is. Let me ask you guys, James, I'll start off the back of Brian's comment there. No disrespect to this young kid from Hearts, and we know he's going straight into the academy team, which is just so weird. But doesn't this just sum it up that we're all sitting there, right? At about 2 p.m., everyone's going, oh, my God, Monaco have signed a Dingra. So straight away in our heads, we've gone, well, that must mean Akliouche is coming to Tottenham. So we've all gone, oh, there's one big move. And then with an hour to go until the window shuts, you get Tottenham have hijacked the Arsenal deal for 18-year-old James Wilson of Hearts. And it's not fault, but the optics on this, James, just looks terrible, doesn't it? That the club are not reading the room.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, again, it makes a mockery of all the fans that kind of say that we've got the next class of 91 or whatever is coming through, and oh my God, look at this guy, look at that guy, look at this guy. Because clearly the club don't believe they're any good. If they were good, they wouldn't be buying other 18-year-olds to come in and take their place. In my opinion, that's how I feel. I feel that fans are so deprived of everything that the moment they get half an inkling, they kind of go, yeah, stick by that. He's the best player in the world. He will be the best player in the world. That's that. If that was the case, we wouldn't be signing strikers, left backs, Greys, Bergvals, Odeberts. We wouldn't be buying these players that are all 20 or under, because you've got the next best thing in the academy. Why do you need to spend all of that money on Tell when you've got Mikey Moore? What it doesn't make sense. And then when you do buy Odeberg, you then buy Kudos on top of Odeberg. So now Odeberg's not going to get any minutes when everyone's fit. So for me, it just makes a mockery of everything. And like we said at the beginning of the show, I don't believe anybody at the top knows what they're doing, let alone any fans to have any idea, because everybody is something different. We don't want people for long term. Well, you've only signed kids under 20 for God knows how long. You know, I did watch a little bit on that that striker. To be honest, he doesn't look very good. I know it's only little clips, but I didn't look at him and go, movement's really good there. Oh, that's a striker's finish. I haven't seen that. You know, and you're like, okay, I'm concerned.
Isn't it more worrying, to back on from what you said, and I'm agreeing with you here, isn't it more worrying that you look in the last couple of years, Spurs have gone and bought in that Oliver Boast from Leeds, who's a young striker. They've bought in Mason Melia, who, again, I'm seeing, oh my God, this boy is generational, yada, yada, yada. You've got Dane Scarlett still at the club. You've got Lancashire is on loan at Oxford. And yet Spurs go, and Valise is still a Spurs player, if I'm not wrong, guys. I don't.
Yeah, they didn't go through. He's still.
And we've gone, what do we need? I know. Let's take another 18-year-old striker on loan. But you know what? We're not even going to put him in the first team squad. This guy's going to go straight into the under-21s. And the Hearts manager, did you see what the Hearts manager said yesterday, James?
No.
The Hearts manager came out and said, we wanted him to stay here. Why is he gone there to play academy football? Like he's better than academy football.
Yeah.
Not just that, Savva. For Wilson himself, Hearts are on the verge of being the first team in over 40 years of breaking the Rangers Celtic title reign. I think the last one to do it, from what I remember, was Alex Ferguson with Aberdeen. Since then, only Celtic and Rangers have won the title. Now, we all think Rangers or Celtic might, in the long run, gazump Hearts, and it may fall to nothing. But Hearts genuinely have the strongest and most viable chance to break this divide and go down in history, that you stop the divide. We all heard Celtic going for 10 or Rangers going for 10 back in the day of Gazza and Laudrup and all that. And he's come here. But Savva, I want to harp on exactly what you just stole my thunder. Big up, Connor, brother. Big up, buddy.
I'm trying to do a royal wave. I can't do it.
So you were doing kind of the cross between a royal and a deli wave.
Yeah, I can't quite do it. Yeah,
that's what you're doing. But going back to what you said, I would say we've got to sign the striker, even though we've got these youngsters coming through. And I put a tweet out and I tried to trap people in it. And my God, I caught some. I said, you know what? Our only fit striker, as we go into this window right now, or end this window, is Dominic Solanke. And the way we go about sorting that is side of play. Now, I wanted people to go, oh, yeah, well, what about Mawani and Tell? They're strikers, and they fell for it. I don't call Mawani a striker anymore, because a striker scores goals. He is a Spurs player.
Oh, this is James's favourite player. Come on.
Mate, he's a Spurs player. Strikers are meant to score goals. He can't unless they're against his own team. And
listen, he has got a good control. Did you see that one touch before when he got that assist?
Oh, mate, you know what? That's worth going 6 months without scoring a goal in the Premier League. Dominic Solanke scored more goals in the Premier League in that second half against Man City than Solanke has all season. Than Mawani has all season. And then you've got Tell, who I think has looked brighter, but he's been playing as a winger. That's how bad our standards have dropped. When I say Solanke is our only fit striker, and this is how we go about it, and people are going Mawani and Tell, we've all lived through the generation, most your viewers now, where if Defoe and Keane were injured, you'd go, okay, well, Berbatov or Crouch or Pavlyuchenko or you know, but you could go through when it was Klinsmann and Sheringham. There was always options.
Yeah.
But now
if
we're
Solanke
saying
goes down. If Solanke goes down, but bearing in mind, I'm not his biggest fan, by the way. I think I've got question marks against him. But right now, if Solanke goes down injured, who on earth scores goals in that team?
yeah, it's mate.
Van de Ven and Romero.
That's what we need to do. Maybe Mawani needs to go in defence. He'll be the next Baresi or something.
So I just checked Will Lancashire, for example. His stats this season in the league, he's played 29 in all comps. He's played 30 games, scored 6 goals. It's not exactly ripping it up to the point where you go, "Car, he's going to come back on fire."
Do you know what though? I've watched a few Oxford games this year. For me, it's not even about the goals, James. When you watch a player like that play, it can't just be about the goals. You've got to You've got to be able to look and say, can you mix it in the Premier League? The ball played into your feet, the strength, the running in behind. I watch Lancashire play. He's nowhere near good enough, right? We're doing it right now with Mikey Moore, by the way, right? Someone last night, again, every time Mikey Moore scores a goal or gets an assist, I get some sort of message sent to me going, look at this video of Moore playing. And I'm like, fine. But isn't it funny? We only do this when he scores a goal. Mikey Moore, if I'm not wrong, has got 4 goals in 30 appearances for Rangers, right? Now, when I watch him, it's nice stuff. But I'm not watching him going, that is what Tottenham should have in their first 11 right now.
Yeah.
But none of these for me right now are good enough. The only one I think you could say the argument would be Vuskovic, right? I think that's got to be the argument that Vuskovic is the one, and we'll talk about him in a minute. But I look at Alfie Devine at Preston. You know what? When I watch Alfie Devine,
what you say now. Be careful what you say now.
I know you like him.
There's no divine blasphemy whilst I'm about.
Look, when I look at an Alfie Devine at Preston, I look and I think really good, top of the table championship player. That's not me knocking him.
I don't have him in the first team right now.
I just don't look at him and go, that is what Tottenham should have in their 11. And that's not just him. That is all of these kids that are out on loan other than Vuskovic. But Vuskovic, unfortunately, is the one that's in a position where you've got Van der Ven and Romero. Yep. I don't look at any of them and go, cool, he should still be at Spurs playing week in, week out. And James is right, though, Brian. All of these kids that we're told are generational, and yet what do? Every window, without fail, 1 or 2 young players coming in front of them. So if you're a left back, Brian, if you're an 18, 19, 20-year-old left back at Tottenham right now, what are you thinking after they've just gone and bought in Sosa from Santos?
Not only that, what would Sosa have been thinking if you see you bringing in a 31-year-old Robinson? Robinson, you know what I mean? It's like
he'll learn from Robertson, right? Like if you are, I believe his name is Mason King, who I'm hearing is really good as a left back for Spurs.
Yeah.
If you're Mason King, roughly the same age as Sosa, what are you thinking? You're sitting there and going, well, what's the point of me being here, right?
Yeah. In fairness to Devine, mate, I've just got Devine stats up.
Be careful. Be careful.
They're not too bad. They're 32 games, 5 goals, 3 assists, and he's predominantly played centre midfield. So 8 goals, goal attributes in 32 games isn't too bad for a centre midfielder. To be fair to him, that's not too bad. Haven't seen him to say yay or nay, but that stat as a championship, I don't think that's too bad. The only concern I'd say is he's now 21. He's going to be 22 in a few months.
August the 1st.
5 months, whatever. Yeah.
Not. I don't have an addiction or obsession with him. I don't know his birthday.
So my only thing is at 22, and we're signing people like Bergvall and Gray. It looks like for me, even though his stats look okay and I haven't seen him, he's probably going to have a tough time coming back and getting into the squad.
Go on, you finish now. Go, Alfie.
Sorry, I've got to shoot, mate, and pick up Fred from school. Take care, boys, and I'll probably be listening.
Thanks, James.
You do.
Yeah. Take care, boys. No worries,
brother.
Yeah, take care, boys.
All right, let me just speak about Alfie beforehand.
Go on.
So no, I will do. I mean, first of all, my dear friend Leslie's in the Leslie Crawford's in the house. Preston do have an option to buy, but just like what we did with this whole Donnelly an option to buy, it's unobtainable for Preston. Thankfully, one of the great things about social media is as soon as Divine went to Preston, there was a load of Spurs fans that were tweeting, "Hey, any Spurs fans know anything about Divine?" So obviously I got involved and started talking a lot. I've met about 10 or 15 incredible Preston fans, incredible, that we speak regularly. They think he's a king up there. They think he's an absolute god. They're saying like his energy levels, his team, they adore him. What I will say with him is, if we remember 2 seasons ago in Angie's first pre-season, he was one of the best players in pre-season. Forget first team, whatever. Then he went on loan to Port Vale. We keep talking about needing a ball-playing midfielder. That's exactly what he can be. So I would have brought him back on loan. If we had the option, not saying he goes in immediately, but it's something we're missing. It's an attribute he is very, very good at. Obviously, when people say he's 21 going on 22, I hate when people say, we live in a world now where people think Wayne Rooney's happening, you're 18, or a Vuskovic, and you're destined to become a world superstar. Sometimes it takes a few years. So I would think, but like you said, going back to the left back situation, Savva, and the youth team, this is why I don't understand anything at Tottenham. In the second season of Ange, we got told by the club, we're getting rid of all this deadwood to clear the road, so there's no roadblocks for the youth team, so the youth team can start being integrated more into the team. And what they've done after saying that and talking a good game is gone and bought more youngsters to make more. We've got rid of speed bumps and put traffic lights in. That's all we've done. And I will say, Alfie Hall, I haven't turned Lubo with Donnelly. Believe me, I was like this with Alfie long before Lubo was even on YouTube. So
I'll fly the flag for people with standards. Don't you worry. I'm here.
Alfie will be a top player. Alfie will be.
I listen. As I said, whenever I've watched Alfie Divine for Preston, you can see he's a decent footballer. I've got no doubt about that. I just look at Spurs and say, "Are you Spurs?" And I don't think he is, and that's no disrespect to him. That's a lot of them. The problem I think we have, Brian, is again all I've heard for the last year or so is, this crop is the best crop, right? I heard that 2 years ago. I heard that 4 years ago. I heard that 6. Every couple of years, we have people claiming that the next crop are the best crop. And listen, let's be brutally honest. To make it out of an academy to being a first-team starter in the Premier League, the percentage is absolutely minimal, Brian. And that's not Tottenham. That's any club. The percentage is minimal. And it's easier to do that when you are coming into a settled team. It's easier, like if you look at Aston Villa when they bring on that young Bogard guy, he's coming into a really settled Aston Villa side. So he's playing with top pros, loads of confidence. They're doing well. Very difficult for Spurs to be bringing on kids when we're having to pick a different 11 every week because everyone's injured. We're not going well. We haven't got reinforcements. And I think that's the difficulty that we've got, right? But, Brian, we are 2 or 3 injuries away. Literally now, we've got 13 first-team players fit. We are 2 injuries away from the Byfields, from the Ulasessis, from the Williams Barnetts actually starting games for Tottenham Hotspur. That's mad.
Yeah. Well, which first of all isn't fair on them, but you've just taken, you and me have always been very, 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 very on a 99.9% of things, you and me are on the same path. And you've just quoted or said, you look at it, everyone goes back to the class of 92, because obviously it was 5 kids that came through and we know what they did. But the reason they could do that is because the absolute elite footballers that were around them.
Of course. That always gets left out, Brian.
Right, you see, you look at it, when a Trent Alexander-Arnold broke out to Liverpool, a Robbie Fowler, a Steven Gerrard, and Liverpool have been very good at this, and Michael Owen, they bleed 1 or 2 in at the same time, but there's 9 other superstars around them to help them get through through the match and bring it through. These, like when we heard Steven Gerrard coming through, when we heard Robbie Fowler, when Trent Alexander-Arnold did the most recent, look at the team that was around him. Look at the team, and the one I hark back on, Gary Neville said something about the class of 92 and Man U, and he said, you know what, when I came through and during my Man U career, I wasn't the most technically gifted player. I wasn't the greatest footballer.
Yeah.
But I was very good at he said I was probably the least talented outfield player apart from what I had to do as my job. And he goes, it didn't matter what I did. If I was having a bad game, there were 9 other outfield players that would go, all right, Gary's off his game. Don't worry, we've got him. We're carrying. Look at Dele Alli for Spurs. Look at Dele Alli. Dele Alli came through and Dele Alli was incredible.
Yeah.
But look at that team that was around him.
Yeah.
Look at the players that came in and were at Dele Alli could have an off game and a Dembele, a Wanyama, a Harry Kane, a Son, a Ericsson, a Toby. I could go through the whole team. They'd all go, right, okay, let's sort this out. But now we're at a time where we think these youngsters are good. Oh my God, in 2 years, they're going to be great. And then big up, Connor, brother. And then in 2 years' time, we'll sign more youngsters that will water it down. Any youngster that comes in, and Byfield, who has had to come in for, like you said, injuries, has come into a team where the quality is nowhere near what it used to be for us or other teams that have brought in these youngsters. There is absolutely no... These players come in. Who do they look up to right now? They can look up to a Romero.
But Brian, don't you... Can I ask you that? And welcome, Connor. Connor looks like he's about to go and do a bank job, doesn't he? I don't know. He just looks like, I don't know. You look like you're about to go and rob a bank.
He's just done one.
Hairs all over the place.
You've just done one.
If I hear of any banks in Bromley being robbed in the last hour, I'm sending them around your gaff, Connor. It's definitely happening. I think as well, Brian, don't you think, and to Connor afterwards as well, you know, back in the day, always remember you would have 1 or 2 kids that you would, you know, you'd be putting in slowly but surely, like 1 or 2 that would come in at the same time. So I feel like Spurs have got so many now that we don't do that. So, for example, if Byfield, let's just use Byfield. If Byfield is the guy they think centre back, right back, this kid is special, this kid's going to get game time, then for the rest of the season, let's just develop him. Like, give him 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. If he has to start a game, fine. But Spurs have gone, you've got Byfield coming through the youth, along with Ulasesi, along with Luca Williams-Barnett. You've got Tau and Odeberg that are young that have been bought. You've got Vuskovic that's young that's been bought. You've got Ashley Phillips that's young that's been bought. You've got Bergvall. You've got Gray. Sarr was young when he was bought that has now gone further forward. You've got Yang, who's out on loan coming back. He's young. Mikey Moore. You've got Valise. You've got Mason Melia. You've James Wilson. You've got...
You've just named our first team in 3 years.
You've got Lancashire, right? You've got... You know, when you're looking and going, at what stage are we going to go, right, let's pick 1 or 2. Let's stick with them for a couple of years and stop buying kids behind them. Or am I living in a dream world?
No, you're bang on the money. This is the thing where we should be focusing on. This one is coming through. We got let's use Lucas Barnett at the moment, or Williams Barnett, because he is smashing it everywhere. Where he goes on international, when he's in the quality of goals, the caliber of goals, the assist, any other club would look at him and go, right, I think we might be onto something here. This could be the next big one. Let's put so much research. Let's get him as much first team possible when we can, like 15 minutes at the end of a game if we're winning. Let's really invest in him and give him a chance to make a name for himself. There's nothing. But what we'll do is we'll go sign another few players in your position. We might give you a little bit of false hope and put you on the bench, but you have absolutely no chance of playing. This is what we do. We get youngsters. Like I said before, we got told last season we're getting rid of all the deadwood because there's too many roadblocks to bring the youth team in. And then we proceed to loan them all out and bring in more youth.
Yeah, I just
so
don't
then
get it.
Go into the first team and play above them. I mean, Archie Gray is the... I do think I'm not as far gone as Lubo in the whatever, but I am with Divine, obviously. I think Archie Gray will actually turn out to be a very, very good player for Spurs. But he's coming to a team where, again, unlike what Dele Alli had, he doesn't have 9 superstars around him. Archie Gray has been asked to play in about 10 different positions in about 4 different systems. And then we're like...
Doesn't that show that he was bought without a plan in mind?
100%. That part, 100%, I agree with you. That part, but there is no planning. I mean, if you look at it now, like I said to you when I spoke to you in the cab on your cab ride to the ground, we ended this or the summer transfer window where I'd say predominantly majority of Spurs fans would say we need a left winger. That's what we miss. We need that left winger badly. So we all thought going into this window, the first area we're going to address is the one that we're vitally missing. We then get rid of Johnson without a plan. We then get Kudus' injury. Kulusevski then has to have an injection, and we all knew that's not going to work. So we went into this window needing a left winger, and we exit it without a right winger. I mean, I don't understand how... You look at it as well, Conor. I was joking with We Are Tottenham TV. We went into this window with 2 valid right backs, as in Porro and Spence mainly as our left back. Yeah. So we know we did. Now we've got in, both our right backs are injured, and the recognised fullback that is available is the most injury-prone one. Yet there is absolutely... I mean, you just got to look at that. Left wing is what we needed, and then we exit this window without a right winger. Yes, Odegaard can go there, but he's not the answer. He's not the solution. I think he looks better on the right, but there's just no planning, is there, Connor?
No, none at all. I mean, look, for me, they should have been succession planning for Son in a better way even before he left, right? So so that even last summer would have been arguably late to sign his replacement, would have been reactive rather than proactive. And as you say, to then not do it then, still not do it now, and then we're going into another summer with other holes in the squad that we need to address, as well as that one. It is negligence beyond belief. But I mean, look, I think on this chat about the youth players, I mean, part of me has the view that perhaps the reason we are having to sign so many of these young players like Bergvall, Gray, Odegaard, etc., is because actually they look at the academy and think, do you know what? Maybe they're not as good as some fans seem to think these academy players are. And they're looking at, if you're planning for European squad places in the future where you need to sort of fill that out with club trained players or, players that can go on the B list because they've been at the club for a number of years. Perhaps they're thinking we need to get signed the likes of Bergvall and Gray so that we've got some players that can actually go on there and do a job rather than your likes of Dane Scarlett, who's been at the club for how long now? He's now got a loan to Hibs. I mean, we've got to be a bit more ruthless, in my opinion, of selling some of these academy kids. And you're going to get it wrong now and again, right? Look at Man City. Man City have got it wrong a number of times, right? In terms of Rodgers, Palmer, Lavia. There's a few, and you accept that, but actually they've managed to sort of turn around sort of decent profits out of their academy. But for me, it's just systemic of everything at the club. I look at how many players we've produced from our academy in the last 20 years versus Arsenal. I'll blaze Arsenal, Jim. Arsenal and Chelsea.
Connor, just quickly, you said you got it wrong with those 3. But 1, how much money did they make on those 3? And 2, when we say they got it wrong, it's very difficult because people always go now, oh, look at Palmer, what a mistake. But when you've already got Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden in your team, did they get it wrong? Or is it just a case of Palmer wouldn't have developed into this player because he wouldn't have had the game time at Chelsea? So you've got to weigh that up, right?
And the money we get.
That is true.
Yeah, wasn't it like 40 million?
Yeah.
For an unknown kid. Like,
I don't think we've made 40 million out of about 10 players.
Yeah.
But I just want to quickly say one thing, I'm going to say one thing I completely forgot about when we were talking about Savva just before, about the youngsters coming through and how many. I'm going to take people back a bit, way before social media and everything, but I remember this clear as day. I remember hearing the rumblings when Nick Barmby was breaking through.
Yeah.
When Nicky Barmby was breaking through, this was before social media and everything. I remember that's back in the day when you had those premium rate transfer numbers where you had to phone up to get Spurs news and they spoke about one word every minute just to rack up the money. But when Nick Barmby came through, you saw this youngster coming through, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" But Spurs fans knew about it coming through, and he had the Sheringhams, the Andertons, the Klinsmans, and Nick Barmby broke before Klinsman. When he came through with his lovely little curtains and whatever, he was amongst the goals. I mean, obviously, he wanted to go back up north because of homesick, but Nick Barmby was a pure one of the first to break through. And you're like, "Oh my god, Spurs have got a player here." And that was with none of this social media hype. Now we have about 17 players for every one Nick Barmby. Nick Barmby was a star when he broke through. And we just don't do it anymore. We'll all go back, and Kane was the last one, wasn't it?
For anyone who doesn't know who he is, by the way, look at this picture.
Mate, you should have gone back a few years before when he first broke through. He broke through before Pony. We were still Umbro when he broke through.
Let's have a look. Nick Barmby. Oh, was it? Give me Nick Barmby.
Yeah, that holster. No, go back to the Jurgen Klinsmann shirt. You had it with the holster. There you go. That's when he broke through. Or the year before that one. The year before that.
Look at that. Wow.
Mate, he was. Do you know what? I still to this day think, even though when he left us, he went on to do things with Liverpool and all that, I think his best days were at Spurs. What he was doing at Spurs, the goals he was scoring, the contributions he was making. If he obviously only wanted to go north because of homesickness and to be near his family, what a player he was.
Do you think though? I mean, Connor, let me ask you this. I think it's difficult, right? Because we've got so many young players, and I am somebody that I get called harsh, and like Lubo hates it when I talk about this because he's like, "Oh, you don't rate any of them," and I'm like, "Look, if they're going to make it, they're going to make it. Doesn't matter if me, you, Brian, Lubo, whoever like them, right? If they're going to make it, they're going to make it. I don't get attached to them. So I feel like a lot of fans get attached to a certain player or a certain group. The bigger clubs like Chelsea, like City, they don't get attached to them. They will say, like, for example, if Bergvall right now was at Chelsea or City and a bid came in for 50 million, Chelsea and City would go, yeah, see you later. We would cry. As a fan base, we would get really upset by this. Those bigger clubs will just go, there you go, there's 50 million, let's reinvest, let's go again. Is that the difference between the two clubs? That these clubs just keep going again and again and again, and we're very sentimental over players that, I don't mind Bergvall, by the way, but that haven't really done anything in football to date?
Yeah, I think a lot of football fans, we're closer to it because we're Tottenham, but I think Spurs fans are guilty of this. They love the romantic story of someone coming through the academy and being in the first team, don't they? There's like a romantic side of that, and you know, people loved it with Kane, and you know, he's one of our own, and all of that stuff comes into it for sure. I think it doesn't only apply to youngsters. I think people do that with our senior pros as well when we sell them. I mean, as you know, we spoke about after the Brennan Johnson one, and I used the example. It felt like they were reading out an obituary at a funeral of someone who everyone knew was a knob, but saying they were the nicest person on the planet. You know, that it was complete revisionism on what everyone had said about Johnson for the last 2 years, and everyone sort of rewrote history and acted like we were losing someone we really didn't want to lose, right? So I think we as Spurs fans are less used to selling players, to be honest, because we're so shit at it. So I think whereas Chelsea, I mean, Chelsea turning players over within 12 months, 18 months, you know, that whole player trading term, I mean, that is Chelsea to a T, isn't it? You know,
yeah, of course. But again,
they're
they don't
probably
get
the other
sentimental,
extreme.
though, do they? They don't like.
No.
They genuinely don't. If you think that, like the likes that have gone through there and left, like Chukwuemeka, right? Like they've just sold Tyreek George, haven't they, to Everton? Like they just move it on. If we did that, like imagine we sold Mikey Moore now, people would lose their mind. People would lose their mind over players that haven't done anything. Do you know what I mean?
The big
sorry, Brian, just really quickly.
Go on.
Who's this? Who's this, everybody in the chat?
Andy Turner.
Ball knowledge. Andy Turner.
What year was he at Spurs? I would have been a bit young, I suspect.
Mate, he was
91?
I remember clear as day, mate. I remember clear as day because I was at the game. He played a match. I think Gary Lineker got injured or whatever. We beat Sheffield Wednesday, and he scored. He had his arm in a plaster cast. So I always remember that guy. Andy Turner, mate. You look at Darren Caskey. One of my first ever Spurs game with my mates, we beat Everton 3-2, and Darren Caskey scored in the last minute. But Joe, what I was just about to say, Savva, when it comes to it, you look at it back now, or you look at it now, the only reason I'd say youth players want to come to Tottenham is because of the training facilities and the treatment and the 5-star treatment they're going to get. You look at if I had a kid, and let's say Southampton or Tottenham wanted him, I'm sending him to Southampton, and I'm a Spurs fan. Because we see what Southampton do with their youngsters. You see what other clubs, they develop their youngsters. They get a chance. You come to Tottenham now, if you had a kid, you're like, yeah, let's see what Tottenham has done with their youth products. What have they done? They get treated in 5-star treatment. When they go to another team, they're like, well, I'm used to my own room at Spurs and blooming a restaurant that I can have whatever I want.
The only challenge to that, Brian, is how many youngsters now are coming through at big clubs outside of Spurs as well. Like, even if you look at Arsenal, right? If you look, Lewis Skelly last year was playing every game because Calafiori was out. As soon as Calafiori's back, Lewis Skelly is on the bench, and he's a top talent, right? He's on the bench, or they're putting in Cappy at left back, or even moving Timber over there now. You know, it is. I think it's this. I think football has moved on from like that class of '92, where at United you could have all of those players break through, because there is such an immediacy of results that is required for managers that they can't take the risk because they know they're not going to be here in that time, right? And so
if
we need results and we need them now.
If you turn around, Connor, and said, right, this manager is guaranteed that he's joining the club in 2026, he's guaranteed to be here until 2032, right? If he guaranteed, obviously football don't work like that. You can start bringing through youngsters. You're guaranteed to be there. But when we live in an era where the average tenure of a Premier League manager is 18 months, fans want to see young players come through and be blooded. Managers are going, hang on, that's not my remit. My remit, like right now, people are going, oh, Thomas Frank, he never had a youth team at Brentford. He doesn't know how to integrate them. But also, if Thomas Frank, by the way, insert any manager here, if any manager comes in and we're struggling and inserts a youngster and we lose, those very same fans that are asking for the young player to start, Connor, are the very same fans that will go, what's the manager doing? Imagine playing a youngster in a game like at the weekend. If he had started Byfield at the weekend, if Byfield has a great game, it's a masterstroke. If Byfield has the game of a 17-year-old who's new and struggling, it's manager dreadful. Imagine throwing him into this mess. So you're in a bit of a bind. Now, if you are, remember when West Ham bought through Declan Rice? Declan Rice was head and shoulders above everything West Ham had. So Declan Rice went into the first team at 17, 18, and everyone went, cool. Yeah, you stand out. That's fine. At the moment, do we have any kids like that? I don't, just personally, I don't think we do. And I think too many people have bigged up these kids from what they see them doing against other kids in academy leagues. And there is a huge difference between what Luca Williams-Barnett does against 17 and 18-year-olds versus if he was to start at the weekend against Casemiro, for example. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a huge difference.
They're men, aren't they? It's just I mean, you will have seen when our under-21s played Bromley, Sav, and they lost 5-2, right? Obviously, technically, they're probably better footballers than Bromley, right? But they're men, so there's just a difference in terms of that physical point of it. And you know, when you're 17, you get kicked up in the air in the first minute by a man, you suddenly go, oh, do you know what? Actually, I'm not sure I fancy this. Of course. And that's no reflection on them. And some of the to Brian's point, I also think Gray will end up being a good player for Spurs. I don't think he's there yet, and I also agree with Brian's point that we haven't got the environment right now to be throwing these players in either. You know, whenever they're thrown in, it's into an absolute shit show as per everyone else, right? They're thrown into an home stadium that's booing them half the time. It's difficult.
When these kids come in, it's desperation rather than design, isn't it? It's not that we've created a pathway and said, right, we plan to give Byfield minutes. It's, shit, we've got no players. Byfield, can you go and play right wing? And he's probably thinking, yeah, of course I will, because I'm 17 and I want to play. But he wants to be at centre half, doesn't he? Byfield, he wants to be. I think a few games at centre half. I
think the other reason that these players are getting bigged up so much is because how poor the quality is of the first team.
Agreed.
That's because we are so like. Can you imagine if we had these kids and there was a prime Paul Gascoigne? They'd be like, mate, you could think what you want, you're getting nowhere near it. If it had been a Wanyama and Dembele had been there now, you wouldn't be hearing a sodding thing about these kids. Not a sodding. Because we've got so many players pigeonholed that can do the same job, it's like, well, if there's a player that's ripping it up in the youth team and doing something different to what these youngsters, to what the first team are doing, like right now we keep going on and we're desperately missing that ball playing midfielder. We all know that. If we have one midfielder, whether it be for me, like I said, Alfie Devine or anyone, you're going to start going, oh my God, look at this ball. Look at this guy. Look at him doing exactly what we're missing in this first team. He needs to come in. Because he can do what we can't. But then, like you said, they're not the men. You got to remember, we grew up watching people like Vinnie Samways and Steve Sedgley. They weren't exactly the greatest talented players, but I'll tell you what, they wouldn't half put their physicality about. They wouldn't half let you know you're in for a game against men. They wouldn't give you. This is what it's become.
My mate Michael came through at Millwall. I've got bearing in mind my age now, right? But he came through at Millwall, and at school level football, he was talked about like, oh my God, this boy, he's good, and he's not allowed to play for the school because Millwall won't let him and all of this. And I remember when he was 17, he said, "Oh, I'm playing in a reserve game today." Bearing in mind, this is when the reserve leagues was still a thing, right?
Yeah.
He said, "I'm playing my first game in the reserve league tonight," and Millwall were playing. It was, I don't know, something like Southampton or someone like that. And a couple of the senior pros were playing because they were just coming back from injury. And I remember I spoke to him the day after and he went, Jesus Christ, he went the levels. He went the levels. He went, he said, it's not even their age. He said, it's up there. He said, it's their know-how. They're quicker to the ball. They're quicker in the tackle. They're strong. They know where to be. They will pull your shirt. And he said to me, like, I stand out, he said, at 17 years of age at Millwall. I stand out. I am the best player. I've gone into this reserve game. He said, I am not ready for first team football. And this is, I think, the difference between when fans say, oh, if they're good enough, get them in. Like with Luca Williams-Barnett, he looks good. There's no doubting. You watch Luca Williams-Barnett, he glides with the ball, technically very good. But you're not gliding with that ball when you're playing against Casemiro, Kobe Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes. They're switched on. They're seasoned pros, right? So it's a very delicate balance of when you bring these players in, when they're ready, who are they playing alongside? For example, if you're going to put a Williams-Barnett in, but he's got Gallagher to the left and Paulinho to the right, you go on, lads, you two protect him. If you're bringing him in because they're injured and you're going, right, it's you and Gray in central midfield. And this is, I think, the thing that we forget sometimes as football fans. There's a huge transition from being a brilliant kid to being an adult. There's a huge transition. And I think too many of us talk about, well, if they're good, if they're young, if they're good enough, they're old enough. And it's like, sure, but that applies to very few. Rice, Gerrard, Rooney. When these boys played, they look like men, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Luca Williams-Barnett when he came off yesterday. Did any of you see the game yesterday?
No.
Right. So Luca Williams-Barnett came off. I think he had a little knock. As he took his top off to go on the bench, Brian, you could see he's this slight little frame of a. Do you know what I mean? It was the frame of a boy, not of a man. And that doesn't mean he's not a bloody good footballer or an extremely talented youngster. But it's that real difficult gap, it's a real difficult gap. So I just think we have to be careful when we want every youngster to play in the first team. It's not that simple.
Well, this is the thing. You know what it is as well, and I feel sorry for the youth team. Social media has put so much pressure on our youth team because the focus on it now, whether it's Tottenham officially doing it or there's a bit of skill and they show it, straight away, big up, Nico, these us as a fan base are going, oh my God, look at this talent. And you're getting fed this information like, look at him score this hat-trick against, I don't know, some lower team. Oh my God, look, he's banging in the goals, he's doing this, he's doing that. Yeah. And it's like, well, I didn't know about him until social media put him in my viewpoint. And now it's like, this guy has to be in the first team. Look what he's doing here. When 3 weeks, you didn't even know who he was. Mm. It's sad.
You get some that adjust, Brian. So for example, when you look at, let's use one of our ex-players, Connor, I'll bring you, when you look at Jermaine Defoe, when Jermaine Defoe was 17 at West Ham, small but powerful, and he goes out on loan to Bournemouth, and you're like, right, what are you going to do? He went on loan to Bournemouth and broke goal-scoring records. Right, came back, goes straight into the West Ham squad, start scoring goals from a young age. It can happen, but Connor, the problem is these are the anomalies, and that's why when fans say, "Oh, I bet you wouldn't have wanted to give Bale a chance. I bet you wouldn't have wanted to give Kane a chance." These are the anomalies. For every Kane that comes through, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids at Tottenham would have been at Tottenham between Kane making his debut and now. How many of them have made it?
No, I completely agree. And I mean, Kane is a particular example, right, isn't he? Because, I think whenever anyone now has a fouled loan, people use the Kane example as to why you shouldn't sell them and they need to be given another chance. But as you say, that is definitely the exception rather than the rule. And I think, and that feeds into my point earlier about, we are, if we go down the model of doing, you are going to make mistakes now and again. You're going to sell a player that maybe we should have kept, but on the whole, you're probably going to get it right more than you get it wrong, right? And so, players like Scarlett, for me, Lancashire, like you've got Scarlett and Lancashire, and then you've signed Melia and Wilson. So that tells me that you don't think Scarlett and Lancashire, that's behind who we've already got in the squad, in Solanke, Richarlison, Moani. Plus, we're all saying we need a striker. So, how many rungs down that ladder are you going before you? So to me, you just got to sell them. And get some money in, and then you can reinvest that money on first team players, right? And it's pure profit, obviously.
It's great you mentioned Defoe, actually, because you look at it back. We go back to that Defoe time. Also, all fans around English football heard that West Ham have 4 stars coming through. One was Ferdinand, as in Rio.
Yep.
Then you had Carrick and Cole, and you had Defoe. And you've got to remember, back then, West Ham were struggling relegation or trying to get into the top half. They bled them 4 in and put all their eggs in those. Oh, and Lampard. Lampard as well. I can't believe we left him out. And they knew they invested everything they could into them. They said, right, we're going to bleed you in, maybe not at the same time, but separately. And not one of them missed, did they? Not one of them. Every single one was a home run. And they went on to bigger and better things. But we seem to buy 15 players in the same position and then start funneling them through, and then we make no money out of them at all. No money out of them because we just wait till they see out their contracts and they leave. Look at Romain Mundle, Mark Ande, Madueke, and keep going on.
Yeah. I mean, if you look here, Brian, again, this is what can happen if you are the right type of player. So this is Jermaine Defoe, by the way. So you can all see there that in the 2000-2001 season, he goes to Bournemouth, plays 29 and grabs 18 goals. Now, for a 17-year-old, that's bloody good, right? Then what happens? He gets his reward. You look the very next season, which is the 01-02, he goes in at West Ham, right? So bearing in mind, he's 18 years of age, goes in 17, 18, goes into West Ham, plays 39 in all competitions, scores 14 goals. But that's the anomaly. The Jermaine Defoes are the anomalies of these players, right? There are players that you will let go and you'll make mistakes on. You look at Madueke. People can argue now we made a mistake, but not everyone does what Madueke does. Most of the players that we think are Madueke is actually end up being at Bromley. No offense to our team, our second team. Most of them end up at a Bromley or a Dagenham and Redbridge, and that's how it works, right? That's how it works. But we feel that every young player is going to be great, and the problem is, I think unless we stick with a couple. So for me, if Byfield's your guy, let Byfield be your guy. If he's the defender you want, don't worry about the other young defenders. That's my guy. And this is why I always had the issue, Connor, with the Bergvall and Gray signing in the same window. That's why I always had the issue with, why do you need both when you've got to blood one of them? That was my biggest issue.
I completely agree. Or I think we discussed this last time we spoke about Gray. To me, it was a complete no-brainer in that summer. If look, whatever your view is on Gray right now, as a prospect, he was definitely rated by people, right? And he's played at every level of England, under 16s, under 17s, under 18s, under blah, blah, blah. He got Championship Young Player of the Year at Leeds. So he was obviously a talent. We overpaid, but he was a talent. Why they didn't in that summer go, we'll sign Gray, but we're going to immediately loan him back to you, Leeds.
Agreed.
So that you get another season under your belt. And we're going to go and sign a midfielder who's ready now as well. That is what an intelligent. Instead, he gets thrown in, and to Brian's point, he's then asked to play 15 fucking different positions in systems that are different, etc., etc. And he's not ready for it yet, right? And then we will have to judge him on that because he's playing for us, and that's fine. But yeah, you didn't need to do both, and this is the thing. And I think you're right with the Byfield situation. To me, sell Alfie Dorrington now, because ahead of him you've got already the centre backs we've got in the squad. Vuskovic is obviously way better and looks like an unbelievable prospect, right? I think that is fair to say. And then you've got Byfield, who's above him in the pecking order now,
and Ashley Phillips.
And Ashley Phillips. So
I love Ashley Phillips.
So he's got to go, hasn't he? I mean, how old is Dorrington now? He must be 20. And you'll get fans going, oh, but he hasn't been given a chance. Yeah, but he's not going to be. Right now, he's never going to be given a chance because he's got about 7 centre backs in front of him. What do you want us to do? Drop Romero and pick Alfie Dorrington? It's just not going to happen, is it?
Let's be fair. Phillips and Dorrington are not going to be the future of Spurs. Now, look,
I hope Phillips. I have to say, I hope Phillips is. Phillips, I really do.
Sure, but Brian, this comes back to the point again, right? And I've got nothing against Ashley Phillips, by the way. When I see him play, I think there's definitely a good player in there. But you've got, let's go in order. You've got Van der Ven and Romero. You've got Dragoshin and Danso, right? Who are the two back, right? So there's your 4. You've then got Vuskovic, Takai, right? You've then got Byfield coming through as the one from the academy that everyone seems to think is great. You've then got Dorrington and Phillips. Now, you can't. What's the chances of betting more than one of those young centre halves into the
Savva, let me give you an example on that as well from last season. So when we had all of those injuries at centre back, we would rather have played Gray, who was an 18-year-old, i.e. younger than Dorrington, midfielder at centre back than Dorrington. So that to me tells me he's just not going to make it. If he can't get in the team when we've got that many injuries, and you're also in a situation where you're playing a centre midfielder who is younger than you at centre back, when are you ever going to get in?
Ben Davies as well. If you look at it with all of those centre backs, so Van der Ven, Romero, Danso, Dragoshin, Takai, Byfield, Ben Davies, Phillips, Dorrington, Vuskovic, right? Like, you've got 10 centre backs there. So realistically, your first team squad's going to have 4. If you play a back 4, you're going to have 4 in a match day squad. If you play a back 5, you might have 5 in there, but very rarely, right? So what are the chances that you go, right, we're going to bring through Byfield, Vuskovic, and Ashley Phillips? It's just not. It's just never going to happen, is it?
Let me just add to this. I mean, the reason I think Phillips really is going to be. I think he's going to be England international quality. Whether that's as a Spurs player or what, that's undecided. But you look at that list you said, and also he's been on 2 loans to Stoke, and done incredibly well there, and all the fans love him and everything you hear. He's gone to Plymouth the year before, and again done the same thing. So he's shown he can do it at Championship level. Yes, it's not Premier League level, but I mean, to be able to do that consistently at Championship level is a good starting block. Then I'm going to go through the list you said, Savva. So yeah, Van de Ven and Romero top, which is undeniable. But I think this summer Romero's gone. I honestly do think he's angling for a move away. He's been very strategic. Those words came out. Those words that he said in the summer was probably to go to engineer a move away. But then Spurs being Spurs said, listen, we'll give you more money. We'll give you the armband. And we promise things will be different this time. And he's bought it. And now, obviously, this is the second outburst this season he's had. Or third if you include the Frank appointment one. So he's engineering for away. Then you said the next lineup. So let's elevate. Let's just say Romero's gone. I think Van de Ven's got one more season in him. I really do. I think Spurs will be like, you're under contract. Stay one more. Then we'll talk about when you're 2 years. So then you said Dragusin and Danso. I am a massive, massive Kevin Danso fan. I love Magnet Head. I love him. I think he's unbelievable. I think he's a lot better than people actually put him down for. And very, very reliable. Popescu, what a player Popescu was. My good God. So then I'd put, let's say Romero's gone. So I'd say then you've got Danso Van de Ven. Then you've got an opening where you just left. And I think Dragusin is gone this summer. So then that you've got a second tier that you just mentioned, Savva, that's totally free. And that's where I think Vuskovic and Phillips, because I'd have Phillips over Takai all day long. What Takai's doing in the Bundesliga right now, I haven't got a clue. But Ashley Phillips has shown for 2.5 seasons consistently. And let's face it, he's been at teams where, thankfully for Spurs, he's at teams where they're going to have to defend a lot. It's not like, you're going to be at one of the top tier teams in the Championship where you're going to have very little defending because we're winning every game. He's had to defend. I think Ashley Phillips could have a big career at Spurs. Personally, and it's not, I do have an attachment to him.
But again, Brian, let me pitch this to you then. Okay, so let's assume Romero goes, right?
Yep.
If Romero goes, Tottenham, okay, if Romero and Dragusin go, Tottenham, again, we're then going to be in that position again, aren't we, as a fan base and as a club where we go, all right then, who are you replacing them with? Now,
you've got to sign a £60 million centre-back, I
right.
think, if Romero goes.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, some people will say, well, you can bring one in and bring Vuskovic back, but Vuskovic looks like he's going to try and position himself for another year out. We'll talk about this in a minute, another year out in the Bundesliga. But then again, if Tottenham bring in two to replace Dragusin and Romero, you're still in that position where you've now got Danso and Van de Ven, the two replacements for Dragusin and Romero, Byfield coming through as a youngster. Like Vuskovic, if he comes back, I can't see. This is the problem, Brian. I don't think they've bought these players with anything specific in mind. Like when they bought Phillips in, did they bring him in with, right, in 2 years, this guy is going to be bled into the first team to be a starter? I don't know. When they bought in Papa Sarr's been here 4.5 years. Hasn't been able to establish himself as a starter. So, why? Was there a plan?
So, Savva, let me ask you this, and you as well, Connor. Let's just go on this kind of pattern of thought or train of thought. Let's just say Romero and Dragusin do leave the club. They've gone. Let's just pretend we've got a crystal ball. They've gone. We've got some very good money. Let's say 100 million for the pair of them, or 120 if you want to say Romero goes for 80 or whatever. When you've got Vuskovic and Phillips and Danso and whatever to go there, right now, as Spurs fans and the way you see the team, would you say, right, we've got cover there. We've got Danso, who obviously can do it. Vuskovic, who's showing he can do it in a very good league. With that 120 million, Spurs need to go address the front line because the defence, they may not be the star quality that Romero was or have the experience Dragusin has had. But from what we've seen, Danso can do it. Vuskovic has shown. I would
Brian, doesn't that all depend on the status next year?
Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying right now, with those defenders that we've got that we've just been talking about,
yeah,
I would say as a Spurs fan, am I saying this as a Spurs fan, not business? I would rather, let's say we got 120 in, I'd rather we spent 120 million and went and bought an 80 million pound striker Or,
No,
or
I don't think
Yeah,
you
but it
could
shouldn't be an or, should it?
no, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, Connor. But unfortunately, it is.
But
Unfortunately, it is.
hang on, Brian. My point was, doesn't this depend on what Europe or not we have next season? If
We
you
won't be
don't
in
have Europe,
We won't
you
be in
can
Europe.
have Van der Ven, Danso, Vuskovic, and Philip. Like you could, if you don't have Europe, you could probably have those four and say, oh, I reckon they'll get Senesi on a free, by the way. But I think you can have those 4 or 5 and say, yeah, that's enough for a Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup campaign. If you're going into Europe, now you're going to need another body, right? So it's going to depend on where your transfer budget goes. And this all melts into the bigger picture, doesn't it, Connor, in terms of when we look at, okay, well, we didn't do what we needed in the summer. We've not done what we needed to in January. Now you put so much pressure on yourself for the summer that you're now going, hang on, we might need to buy 2 centre-halves, a left winger, a right winger, a striker, a goalkeeper, a left back. Now all of a sudden you're going, guess what? Guess what, Connor? Can't do it all in one window. That will be the... Now you've got to roll over
and then
to January.
Rinse and repeat, rinse. Look, I think in that situation, for me, in that situation where Romero, and look, I agree, he probably is going to go. And I do also agree that Van der Ven probably stays for a year. In that situation, for me, a proper football club, if we sell in Romero and drag us in, they sign a top centre half to take Romero's position because you need someone straight in the starting 11. And I also like Danso, but I don't think if your aspiration is genuinely to compete on all 4 fronts, as we're told it is by the Lewis family, I don't think Danso is going to have you competing on all 4 fronts. And I think he's a very solid defender, good prior. I like having him in the squad, but he's not at the, if you want to break back into sort of the European places for me. So you need to go and sign a top centre half to replace Romero. And then I would also be looking at the replacement for Dragashin has to be a left centre back who could potentially step up in the season after when Van der Ven goes, right? Because if you're going to succession plan properly, I agree with you, Van der Ven probably goes next summer. And so for me, I think the onus is on players like Phillips. The onus shouldn't be on Tottenham to find a pathway necessarily for a Phillips. It should be on a Phillips to prove that he's good enough to be playing and starting for a team that is in the top 5 or 6 in the Premier League.
Has he not shown that? Has he not? In all honesty, like I said, it's got to be for Phillips to force it through. And I'm completely with you. He's gone to the Championship, which we all know is a very, very daunting and hard league to get out of. And the amount of games have played, it's such a hard league, physically and whatever. He's shown it in 2.5 years. He's had no opportunity at Spurs, not one single chance to get into that first team.
So maybe the next step. Yeah, so maybe the next step is loan in the Prep. Right?
Is he better than Byfield? Is the
question. I would say Phillips is, yeah. Yeah, I would.
Now, hear me out on this, right? Now, he's more experienced than Byfield, but I suppose it depends. I don't know the answer to this. I'm just spitballing, guys. Are the coaches at Tottenham Hotspur looking and going, okay, Ashley Phillips is that bit more experienced, but Byfield, we believe, and I hate this term, I apologise in advance for using this term, has Byfield got the higher ceiling?
Yeah, but Savva, you've got to look at it. You just said a very, very key phrase. Does the coaching team see that? It's not good. Every year, the coaching team changes. So, it's Ashley Phillips, every time he has an opportunity, or any Spurs player gets a chance to show one set of coaching teams, this is the way forward, this is what I can do. We rip it up, and another team comes in that might have something completely different. So, where Ashley Phillips under this current coaching team may be, do you know what, next season is his chance, we've got to give it to him. We all know that Frank ain't probably going to start next season, and it all depends what the next coach thinks.
No, of course. Listen, none of this is right or wrong. I guess it all depends on... It's situational, isn't it? So, for example, if Tottenham had kept Ashley Phillips this season at the club, but as a backup, because of the injury crisis we've had this year, he would have had game time, right? But you have to weigh that up against... And let's move it to Vuskovic, guys. Let's move it to Vuskovic, because this is a really good point. So, in the summer, I remember... me, Sean, Lubo, Johnny, we were having this conversation quite a lot about Vuskovic. And it was, do Spurs keep Vuskovic for the good of Spurs? And he might play if you get 3 or 4 injuries, versus do you let him go out to Hamburg and play 90 minutes every single week. Now, there's pros and cons, right? The pro is that he's gone out there. He's being talked about as the Bundesliga player of the season. He's playing superbly. Everyone now in the world is going, hang on, who's this centre-back Tottenham have got their hands on? Would we be seeing that, though? Would we be stunting that if he was currently sitting on our bench every week when Van der Ven, Romero and Danso and Dragusin are fit?
Yeah.
So you've got to weigh it up, right? It's a difficult balance. But Connor, let me start with you. Vuskovic, he is talking about himself and his agent. They are talking about, we want one more year in Germany on loan. Discuss.
Yeah, I think it's obviously primarily driven by his want to play with his brother, it sounds like, doesn't it? And I mean, we had, shamelessly plugging my podcast, but we had Seb Stafford-Bloor, who writes for The Athletic about German football, who's gone to every single Hamburg game this year. And he was talking about Vuskovic and saying, yeah, what a great talent he is. But he has, what we don't see on the highlight reels is that he has still got a lot to learn, as you would expect for an 18-year-old, right? He's had an absolutely brilliant season, but he's 18, so he's still got loads to learn. And so it was definitely the right decision to loan him last season. I think for this year, in an ideal world, if you didn't have this emotional brother point, I think there is an argument to say I'd love to see him get a Premier League loan next, to go to someone who's perhaps bottom half, like us, you could argue, but genuinely should be bottom half as well. A Palace or a Bournemouth or someone like that, and do that. But I think it sounds like we are probably going to give him this, doesn't it? This brother thing, and let him go to Hamburg again. But I would rather see him in a different environment, because one could argue if he has another loan at the same club, you already know that environment. Part of your development. I think it would be better for his development to get a Prem loan, new environment, see how he does in another situation, and then step him up to us. But I know a lot of the fans will want him to come straight back to us, given what we all read about him and what we see of him so regularly on social media already.
You know what, Connor? I think some young players, obviously it's a bit different with Vuskovic because he needs to get his permit to be able to play at Spurs, whatever. I really praise a lot of youngsters now, not just Spurs players, that have said, you know what, I'm not getting my opportunity, I'm going to go abroad and get it. Look what, especially Germany, you look at your Sanchos, your Bellinghams, who's the other person, whoever, and then you look at Troy Parrott going to Holland. These players aren't like, right, you know what, I'll sit on the bench or I'll go to a Championship or League One team. They've said, no, I'm going to go abroad and really sink my teeth into something. And I think a lot of that has to be commended for the players doing it, rather than just sitting there. What I will say with Vuskovic, I applauded him when he said he wanted to go out on loan because he knew he weren't going to get first team football. It shows he's got a very wise head on his shoulders.
Agreed.
And you look at it, the way they've done it, we bought him, he went on loan to Poland. Let's face it, I think that's the first time any of us took any care in the world of what goes on in the Polish league of any time. He did well. Then he went to Belgium with Alfie, and everyone was looking at Belgium. So every move he's made has been a step up.
100%.
And Germany, he has just exceeded expectations beyond anyone's imagination, let alone ours. I think he should have another loan unless Romero does go. If Romero does go, I hope Spurs say, look, whether they go and, like you said, kind of go and spend X, Y, Z on a central defender, or they give him the throne. If we sell Romero and Spurs are like, right, okay, you were there for that. I don't care what you want to do with your brother. Your Spurs' number one centre back next to Van der Ven. This guy just keeps going better and better and better. But I do agree, if he isn't coming back to Spurs, I think exactly like you, Connor, he shouldn't get comfortable where he is. Whether he goes to a Bayern, whether he goes to Spain or Italy, or like you said, even the Premier League, and get to grips with the Premier League. But I think everything he's done, like we all bitch and moan about Radu Dragusin's agent coming out and speaking because he just get out of the club, blah, 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 blah. Vuskovic has at least given some substance to say, listen, this is what I am, this is what I can do. And he wants to develop. And he can see he's not getting first team football. So if he's not guaranteed first team football next season, I hope he goes on loan to another club that isn't Hamburg, so he gets comfortable. I completely agree with that.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
sometimes what we underrate with these is like, as much as the sort of physical development and development of playing, football is important. There is a massive element of mental development that they are kids, right? They're 18. If you all remember what we were all doing as 17, 18-year-olds, we weren't, in these environments, and there's no harm. I look at like a Xavi Simons, right? Who obviously was one of I think he's probably the first like Instagram kid as a talent, wasn't he? When he was at Barcelona, and he's been here, there, and everywhere already by the age of 22, hasn't he? He's been,
Yeah.
Leipzig, PSV, PSG, and it's done him the world of good. You can see how well he's acclimatizing, off the pitch with Tottenham. He gets it, doesn't he? He gets the whole cultural side of being at a football club, and it's obviously taken him a bit of time to get used to the physical side of playing in the Premier League. But for me, it can't do Vuskovic any bad at all. And I actually, I would definitely give him a loan for another season personally.
Yeah,
But not
I think a lot of it is desperation, isn't it? We see how great he's doing and go, right, get him in. And I would say get him back if we can say that we truly believe he's ready and he's going to start.
Right, Savva, I've got to go, brother. I've got to go. So I just want to say, brother, always a pleasure spending time with you. Everyone in the chat, have a wonderful weekend. See you soon. And as always, Enoch out.
Thanks, Brian.
Always.
Just going to go for another 10 minutes, Connor, and then I will jump off. Mate. Otherwise, my brain starts to fry speaking about Spurs this long. Look, I think if for me, I agree with you. Another year loan, I've got no problem with that. Unless they turn around and go, right, he is ready and he's going to be our number one centre half. If you're going to bring him back and play him, fine. Don't bring him back and let him play on the bench and get minutes here or there when players are injured. By the way, anybody, I've just had a message from my guy at OK Jersey. So what they have just brought out this week for anyone who's interested is all of the World Cup shirts are now available. So go and get your World Cup kits, whether you are looking at Brazil shirts, England shirts, or Sweden, or whoever you're looking at, Norway, whatever, they're all available on there. And type in Savva as a code for 8% checkout. Just quickly, I want to talk just before we wrap up, Connor. Thomas Frank has been speaking and said that Mickey van der Ven is in training and should be available for the weekend. Romero is available and that he said we've dealt with it internally. Already I'm seeing people online go, he's a yes man. I'm like, well, that's the right thing Thomas Frank should be telling us, right? We've dealt with it internally. You don't need to know anymore. We've dealt with it. Also, though, he said that Jed Spence is touch and go, and Jed Spence could be available for the weekend. What do you make of all of that?
I'd like Spence to be, because I think regardless of whether we persist with the three at the back or go back to four, and I know fans will probably look at that first half against City and worry that, but I think, Savva, you made this point. The three at the back was working quite well for us before that first half against City. And then you've got players playing, you've got Gray at right wing back. Not that Gray did particularly bad in that first half, but and then also it's not his position. And then you've got Dragishin coming in for his first appearance in a year playing as a left centre back. And I mean, if anyone watched City versus Newcastle yesterday, they would have seen the problems that City caused Newcastle as well, right? Their defense was all over the place. So I don't think you can judge it solely on that. So yeah, I mean, it is interesting. I'll be interested to see what he does, because he seems, if he is going free at the back, he seems to like to put Paulinho as the right centre back has been.
Yeah, he's like and then kind obviously of conduit, isn't he, between the midfield and
and
it's a shame though, right? Because I'd like to see, I don't know about you, I'd like to see Paulinho and Gallagher as the two, with Paulinho mopping up and Gallagher with more license to go and be box to box. But Paulinho's he's that conduit between midfield and defence, and he does it superbly, doesn't he?
What does suit Paulinho better about being in that position is that he's not receiving the ball under a press and with his back to the play, which I think is what he struggles with. He doesn't necessarily have that ability to turn and pass forward, Paulinho, whereas when he's playing in right centre back, his passing, I think, has looked way better, because he's got the whole pitch in front of him and he's able to then pass forward in a different way. But yeah, but then, you know, to the point earlier, I think, to be honest, if Van der Ven and Romero are back and Spence is back, I think he will play three at the back, and I think he'll put Palhinha right centre back, Romero in the middle, Van der Ven left centre back, and then hopefully Spence at right wing back, Udogie,
This?
and he'll do that, right? Yeah.
Something like that?
It wouldn't shock me if he put Gray in instead of Basuma, but yeah, you know,
Yeah.
but
Possibly Sarr after his cameo last weekend.
Sarr as well. Yeah. And I mean, he's got to sort of keep. I think that works quite well with where Simmons is, because he just drifts inside, doesn't he? He almost
Yeah.
He almost puts them both as sort of both tens, doesn't he? Odegaard and Simmons with drifting wide, and then you get the width through
I
Udogie.
put Simmons there purely because of the way the system makes me have to put them.
Of
But
course.
Simmons just sort of floats in. It's more like this. Simmons will kind of be just in and around here, Odegaard in and around here, and
that's it.
I want to see this guy though. I want to see this guy do more. If I'm brutally honest, Connor, I thought that so many times Udogie got the ball on Sunday with plenty of grass to run into, because City give you a lot of space to run into. And I felt like he always got to. Sorry, did I have that up on the screen? Yeah, right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right. Like I feel like Udogie gets to there with he picks it up here, gets to there, and then goes inside every time. I want to see him use that. Get down there.
Well, one of my things with Udogie, I think he has got all of the fundamentals in terms of like being an athlete of a top. You know, the other left backs would kill to have his sort of speed, physicality, athleticism. He could be wasteful in the fight. I think if he could work on being fit consistently, that's the biggest issue. And I think he's had a career that's been broken up by injury, which hasn't helped. But then delivering a final ball that is much better than what his final ball often is. He'd be a top left back. I think he's got all of the fundamentals there. I agree with you, and you know, I love it when he does. He's a powerful runner, right? So 9 times out of 10, if he really go, he's gonna cause problems doing that. And I agree, play too safe against City.
Yeah, see, for me, I'll be honest. I feel like there's something in there that needs to burst out, and I'll be honest. Over the last 2.5 years, I'm still waiting to see it. But you're right. The core fundamentals, the pace, the power. Just sometimes when I look at him, I think, just keep going, mate. Just keep going. Keep driving. Scare the shit out of the right back or the centre. Keep going. Give me got to wrap up there, Connor. Just before I do, big up to Ayuso. So be honest, don't see Vuskovic coming back to us. Well, I keep seeing this, Connor. The last thing we'll talk about before I get your score prediction. Thank you, Ayuso. A lot of people are talking as though Vuskovic has got the choice whether surely we own him, right? When people are going, he won't play for Spurs, he'll end up at Bayern. Cool. All right, well, Bayern, let's see your money, right?
Wow, this is it. I mean, look, he's got a very, very long contract. And to me, you know, you were talking earlier about, if someone offered for Bergvall and they said 50 million, for me with a Vuskovic, just because he's got such a potential high ceiling and he's proven, you know, sorry to use that word as well, and has already demonstrated it right at a level. I mean, Spurs surely aren't selling him for anything. You know, it would have to be crazy, crazy money, like 80 million plus to even consider it, in my view, at this stage. So yeah, for me, I think it's just fans are desperate because they see it, you know, for anything to hang on to at the moment, because we're an absolute shit show, and so they want him to come back. But I don't think we'll be selling.
It just makes me laugh. Like I saw Ramon Vega yesterday or the day before, said, "Oh, there you go. Look, this guy won't come back to Spurs." Not well. Hang on. Sorry, are we making out like this isn't our player? Like this guy is he's contracted to Tottenham Hotspur. If the Bayern Munichs, if the Real Madrids, if you want Vuskovic, cool. Show me 70 million. Show me 80 million. Listen, I know he's only 18, but if all the big clubs in the world want him, show us.
We don't need to sell.
Yeah.
Anthony, just to be clear, we don't think he's worth 80 million right now. We're not delusional. We're saying that there's no reason for Tottenham to sell him.
Yeah.
at any price below that because we don't need money, right? So
Yeah. It's not that
it's
we have to
within
go,
our
oh
gift.
shit, we're really hard up for cash, 25, 30 million. The point is, if they truly believe, the world is talking about this kid. All of the world is talking about this kid's going to be one of the best centre backs out there. You know me, I want to see it play out for a couple of years. But if that is the case and the big clubs come calling, cool, give us whatever we want, right?
Yeah.
Give us
We're the
whatever
ones
we
in
want.
control of this situation. The
Of
market
course.
value set by Tottenham. I think this is what people sometimes don't, like when they go, oh, Adam Walton's not worth 80 million or whatever. Well, to Palace he is, so that's the
Yes.
price. Do you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's how it gets set sometimes.
Yeah, it's like when people, I keep hearing people go, "Oh, Van der Ven will leave." Okay, cool. Well, for Van der Ven to let's play the game. For Van der Ven to leave this summer, Tottenham are going to turn around and say, "Cool, you want Mickey Van der Ven? We don't want to sell him. Give us 85, 90 million." Right?
Yeah.
Someone stumps up 85, 90 million. You go, fair play to them. But all these people going, "Yeah, Mickey will be off." Mickey gets to say, "I want to leave." Of course he does, but he doesn't get to set the terms of which he leaves. Tottenham do. So you can see the conversation, right? He walks into the office. I want to leave. We don't want you to leave. Yeah, but I don't want to be here anymore. Cool. Well, for us to let you go, you're going to have to find a buyer that's going to give us insert figure, right?
Yeah.
I don't think people seem to understand how the transfer market works. They seem to think that the player goes, "I want to leave," and we go, "Oh, okay then. See you later, mate."
I mean, look at the Kane situation. Now, obviously, we ended up selling him because he only had a year left, right? And then it wasn't within our power to the same extent. But when City came in for him, well, they made a derisory offer for him, and we're not selling you for that. So the conversation's very easy. If these clubs want you so much, pay the price.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they must not want you as much as you think they do.
Exactly. And this is the point. I heard all of this last year about Romero. Before he signed the contract, all I heard was Real Madrid and Atletico want him. I didn't see a monster offer go in from Atletico Madrid or Real Madrid. I didn't see Real Madrid go, there you go, there's 75 million pounds, 70 million pounds for Christian Romero. It's the same as anything, Connor. Money talks, right? If people want to buy your players, you set the price. How much do you want? But we've got to stop talking as a fan base as though, oh, Mickey will be off. Well, Mickey will be off if someone pays big money. Oh, Liverpool want him. Cool. All right, Liverpool, give us 90 million. Oh, no, we'll give you 50. No, sorry, mate. No. Do you know what I mean? They don't dictate. They have to put down the price. It's really that simple, isn't it?
Yeah,
for me.
particularly when you're the ninth richest club in the world yourself, right? So
Right.
this is the point. So
Right.
and it sets a bad tone as well. You don't want to be in that situation where you're selling players. You need to selling your top players. So for us, imagine we lost Romero and Van der Ven in the summer. What sort of tone does that set to anyone that you're trying to buy as well, right? So that adds value onto the valuation as well.
Exactly, right? You think, and this is a good point. Liverpool just spent 60 million on Xhaka. Now, it doesn't mean they won't want another centre half because I think they will. But they're spending 60 million on Xhaka, who's how old?
20, I think.
20.
Yeah, I think
so how much experience has he got at the age of 20 compared to Mickey Van der Ven, who's 24, right? So, look, people can come in. Anyone can ask. I think you're right. I think one of them might go in the summer. But I cannot see Tottenham in any way, shape or form going, yeah, go on, let's let both of them leave and build a new centre-back pairing. And I think whichever one gets sold first, the other one's going to be told politely, you're not going anywhere. Sorry.
No.
That's life.
I think the other thing is they can say to a Van der Ven, can't they, as well? I mean, look, you're 24. I think he's got 3 years left on his contract. Someone in the chat will probably correct me if that's wrong, but they could probably say to him, look, you definitely stand for at least another year. And then if someone offers us the money that we want next summer, we'll entertain it potentially. But actually, what the owners should be doing, though, Sav, is doing everything within their gift to convince Van der Ven and Romero that this is the right football club to be at because they're going to match their ambition. Unfortunately, we know that that's unlikely to happen.
And wouldn't see, and again, listen, I said this in the summer. I'm going to say it again now. I'll keep saying it until it ever actually proves to be right. if Spurs have anything about them, Connor, between now, what will be the 5th of February, and when's the window open? The 1st of June, I believe.
Something like
right?
that, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
If right now, Spurs should be looking at their targets, trying to get them wrapped up for the first couple of weeks of the summer before the World Cup starts. And then you turn around to Mickey and Van der Ven before they go away. Sorry, Van der Ven and Romero before they go away, and you go, look at these
This
two
is what
players
we've
we've brought in already. By the time you come back from the World Cup, we're going to have another 2 more. Right? So go away to the World Cup. Don't make any decisions about your future. We'll talk when you get back. Right? And players like Romero and Van der Ven will want to come back from the World Cup. They'll want to sit in the dressing room for the first day of pre-season and go, cool, that's a good signing. Cool, that's a good. They don't want to look across and go, there's 18-year-old James Wilson that we finally signed from Hearts. Do you know what I mean? They're going to be looking and going, where's the ambition? But look, Spurs hold the cards on Van der Ven, Romero, Vuskovic. None of these guys are running out of contract. None of them are close to running out of their contract. We hold the cards, right? And at the end of the day, if you want them, pay big. Like if you said to me, we're going to get £160 million between Romero and Van der Ven, you go, okay, there you go. Okay, there you go. Go and buy two centre-halves at 50 million each to replace them. You now got 80 million, buy a couple of attackers. Good business. But right now, you're not getting them for 40, 50 million, are you? So
no. I mean, I agree with you that we're going to pick up Senesi as well. I can absolutely see that happening. Who, by the way, I rate Senesi. I think he's a good player. And I would do that regardless of whether Romero or Van der Ven go. And I would sell Dragashin, and I would have Senesi and Danso as that's your 4 then. You know, it's a no-brainer.
Van der Ven, Senesi, Danso. Right, your 2 left backs are going to be Destiny Udogie and Andy Robertson because he's on a free and he's experienced. The right backs are going to be Porro and Spence unless one of them leaves. So now all you've done so far to make
sort of done, isn't it? Yeah.
But both of those that we just mentioned are free, right? So that's Senesi and Robertson. Now you use all your money to buy a goalkeeper, a ball-playing midfielder, and a couple of forwards.
Exactly.
We can transform this squad very easily. Anyway, look, Connor, thanks, bro. I really appreciate that. Are you going to United on Saturday?
No, I'm going to Budapest tomorrow for a stag do, scoping out the Champions League final destination, obviously.
Have you been to Budapest?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
I'll talk to you on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Stag. I tell you what, right now at the age I'm feeling, the thought of stag do scare the shit out of me because I can't do more than one night in a row.
I know, mate. I know. I think that there's about 25 of us going as well, so it should be lively, mate.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, if we never see Connor again, it's been nice knowing you. But Budapest is lovely, but there's some very ropey places there. Enjoy. I will be probably doing a watch along Saturday. Is it 12:30 the kickoff?
Actually,
yeah, it's 12:30. We are the 12:30 kickoff, aren't we? This Saturday.
Oh, wait, yeah. Nice.
So, guys, listen, see me then. I won't be live tomorrow. I won't be doing anything tomorrow. I've got a lot going on tomorrow. Thank you very much for the super chats. Thank you very much. I've loved it today. I don't think we've had one trolling. It's been absolutely lovely. Please subscribe to At The Whistle Blows. And just remember, if anyone does want to inquire about buying the channel, get in contact with me. It will run out that offer very soon. Take care, everybody. Much love. Let me not be rude and let me transfer you over to a channel who's live. Sorry, that was my bad. I always get excited. Who is live? Anybody? It was not. I can't see any.
We didn't do score predictions, Sav, by the way. Quickly.
Yeah, go on.
What's your score? You go first. I'll ask you for a change.
I am going to go with, I think we might win this 2-1. I've been watching United. I know they've won the 3 games. I don't think everyone's saying they're playing really well. I think they're taking their moments well. I don't actually, I think they're gettable. I think we can get at them.
Yeah, I'm going 1-1. I don't think we'll lose for some reason either. I think 1-1.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, won't we? Guys and girls,
Yes.
I'm going to send you over to Football's 12th Man podcast. I think they're having whatever debate they're having. Just say FHTV raid or Savva raid, whatever you want to say. Don't forget to get over to OK Jersey. As I said, they've got all the World Cup shirts or club shirts that you want. Savva at checkout for an 8% discount. Much love. Take care. Enjoy your Thursday nights. Go and give somebody you love a cuddle and spend some time with them instead of looking at football screens all day long. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.